Today's motivational quote is going to be with my co-host. She's the motivational speaker for today. She's in the person of Miss Miriam Abna-Dede, and she'll be taking us through this very beautiful quote we have here, which is also reflecting something concerning Easter. So let's get. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning, Yaira.
I hope you're well. You're looking really good, looking like Jesus' blood that was shed on the cross.
It really got me on day. I mean, I'm representing Jesus' blood. It is the blood that has kept me, has sustained me and making me who I am today. So shout outs to Jesus.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. So yes, let's get into the motivational quotes for today. What do you have for us?
So Marcia Laycock is telling us something about Easter, and she's saying, we no longer live in the day on which death seemed victorious. We live in the day that came 3 days after. We call it Easter. We no longer live in the day on which death seemed victorious. We live in the day that came 3 days after. We call it Easter. And just as you said, we are in the Easter season, and this quote is setting the tone right for our Easter celebration, because it recognizes the efforts that Jesus Christ paid for all of us, or did for all of us, when he died on the cross and resurrected 3 days after. And this quote is just telling us that, yes, there is always hope after, the sadness, the sorrowful moments, because from today to, let's say, Saturday, you are going to be, all moody. We are remembering the efforts and all those kind of feelings. But this quote is telling us that, yes, there is always hope at the end of every sad moment. And so just as life triumphs over death, we can also triumph over every difficult situation we come across in our lives. So yes, that's what this quote is telling us this morning.
Thank you so much. This was really, really inspiring. I don't understand why people get sad about Jesus' death. I mean, it is to pay for our sins, liberate us from death. But I mean, to each his own. Thank you so much for this quote. And I hope that as you are celebrating the Easter festivities, you're remembering the reason. Jesus is the reason for the season. He sacrificed his life out of love for us to save us from death. So please, let's be measured in our enjoyment. Yes, next is our online and newspaper review with two of my co-hosts, and we will be right back. And you're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Koko Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our online and newspaper review with two of my co-hosts in the persons, Mr. Clement Yabankwe and Mr. Nanayao Asare. So let's get right into it. Don't forget, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can also send in your comments there. You can send your comments to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screens as well. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Very fine morning as well.
How are we doing?
Very well, especially those of us who are from the Asian Army, those of us in the red and white, especially those of us who went to Spain yesterday, all the way to Madrid and came back victorious. We are very fine.
Okay, so there was a match yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes.
So I'm sure the people who plays bet, some are happy, some are sad, no?
That's why he's talking like that. That's why he's talking like
Okay, I see my cameraman is happy.
Not entirely betting, but for an Arsenal fan, an astute Arsenal fan, you know, I mean, I've not hidden it since. And it was quite a good one. We beat Real Madrid 3-0 in our home, and then they were talking about remontada, which they are known for, turning things around. That's to overturn deficits when they are against all odds. They've seen themselves needing 3 goals and scoring them in 3 minutes. So that was the same. And then they issued out statements that 90 minutes at the Bernabeu is a long one and all that.
Hey,
but it didn't happen for them. We actually beat them again at the Santiago Bernabeu by 2-1. So, yes, we are up and then we are grateful. Those of us from the Ashburton Army. Yes, it's all joy in N5.
I see. Okay, businessman,
for me,
how are you doing?
I'm fine, and I think I support.
Oh, okay.
And we are so happy. I'm not. Yes, I have to. I'm not really football fan, but I want to see the next match. That is the semi-finals when they start playing.
Okay.
I'm expecting him to come here so excited as he is today.
I'm going to come here excited. I'm told we play the final, so now I assure you about this.
Oh, right. Okay, so what is trending? I mean, we've just spoken about the football match that was yesterday, you know?
Yes,
okay, so what else is trending?
So, Yara, that was last 2 days, and yesterday it was actually on screens and across the country, which is all about against Galamsey. And as at last 2 days, in the western region, a forest known as the Subri Forest, some number of soldiers visited the place, and it's a thick forest though, but we have Ghanaians, or let me say people, have created their own village or a city where you get access to everything.
Okay.
Everything is there, being it pharmacy, you can think of, there's light. They generate their own light. So you
inside
can see
the forest?
Inside the forest.
Oh, okay. So that's like a small civilization.
Exactly. And it's all as a result of this illegal activity. So last 2 days, number of soldiers visited it unaware, and they burned such place very down to ashes. And it's a good cause since they are fighting against Galamsey, but at the same time, too, people are equally complaining. Nana?
Yes, so you know the particular forest that you're talking about is very close to the border from Western region and the Ivorian border as well. And also we have people coming down from Burkina Faso and all that, with the sole purpose of coming to illegally mine in our forest. The area that was actually called it's in the heart of the forest, and then they call it Abrewan and Crime.
Okay.
That's the name of the area, and it inhabits over 10,000 people. That's particular settlements that they have created.
And that whole place was burnt down.
So it's been on the agenda of the military to actually sort of end that particular settlement. And not only that, but there are places that they've also touted to maybe be one of the main reasons why our water bodies are destroyed. Now, when you in the heart of the forest, it's seen as the source of some water bodies that flow into the big water bodies that we have. So when they actually saw that, and then the military has acquired new helicopters and all that. So they do some aerial scanning, and then they find the places that are causing havoc to our water bodies and our forests.
Okay, I think the big question on everybody's mind is it the illegal miners that have created that settlement, or is just literally anybody or just normal citizens that are living there?
So, so let me give a brief history.
Okay.
I have heard about that place for quite long. People are saying that they started within 4 months. It's never true. It has been there for about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it's within the area of Wasa East District and Wasa and Poho. That is where it is.
Yes.
And the Subri Forest itself is in Wasa East District. So this place, it's actually some Ghanaians and foreigners, Togo and other people. The whole purpose was to go there to mine.
Okay, so these are all people with the intention to mine.
Majority of the people are Ghanaians.
Okay.
That's what's being said. Not only Ivorians, not only Burkinabes, not only even as far as Liberians, all coming, treading that particular route, passing the illegal route from the Ivorian border, and then entering into, the one of their entry points is Wasa Menfi, and then they enter and then go into the forest. So it's also not recognized in any of the records in Ghana. It's not recognized on our maps as a settlement. It's not recognized in it's not recognized in for as a constituency, but it houses more than 10,000 people.
So the burning you talked about, is it that the place was evacuated and then all of their settlements were burnt to crisp, or along with the human beings and property, everything was just
actually,
because that is a mass, or that's like homicide or genocide.
Attack the human beings.
Okay.
So per the information I had, the military got there around 3 a.m. And around 3 a.m. that is when the people staying there had a hint that the military are coming. So they all moved out from their homes. Okay. But they couldn't pick things they are supposed to pick.
Okay, so they lost
their
property.
So immediately they got there, the military just have to use the petrol, they just spread it and they just match it. And when it goes across 2 different communities, we have the Abro and Nkran. The whole name, the meaning of the name is when it comes to Accra, the Nkran is Accra.
Yes,
when it comes to Accra, it's a survival of the fittest. It's not that you are old or you are what, so you need to fight for yourself. That is the meaning of the name. And aside Abro and Nkran, we have another sub called Jerusalem. So the first day the military visited, they burnt down the Abro and Nkran. And they didn't go to Jerusalem. And that night, a resident of that place, re-erected another structure on that very evening, a beer bar, and started playing music. And unfortunately, someone videoed it and still forwarded it to the military. And military came the next day, burned that small place, and moved ahead to burn the Jerusalem also. And there are one thing is, you wouldn't know when you see the road that leads to that very town, it's very shocking. It's so shocking. When you go to the forest, the main forest road, actually, it's in the, let's say, the forest. But you wouldn't know that passing here would lead to different community on its own. So that is how dangerous the fight against this illegal mining is going. And people are even, as Nana said, it's not only in Subri Forest. People are also saying that there are other places where people have intentionally created a community. And when you go there, you need to buy a land before you stay there. You need to buy a land.
There's a landlord, there's a chief. They have proper structure.
They have
and
there's a chief of that place. Who gave him jurisdiction?
The foremost settlers who only come and then they are the ones who
they discovered the land, like the Christopher Columbus.
My concern is now you've burnt down the place. Where are the foreigners? What are you doing to them? Are we going to deport them? And if we are going to do it, what is the process involved? Because if care is not taken, these same people, the way and manner they were able to resettle in the forest, they can use another means to resettle again. Now, that's one of my concerns. Another concern needs to be like, these Ghanaians, assuming the Ghanaians who found themselves there, why are they there? It's because of unemployment. So in as much as you want to dismantle the settlement, what are you also doing? Place of this, taking them off the scene. What is the employment opportunity creating for them? Because if you don't provide solution, you sack them and they'll come back again. So these are the issues I think the government equally need to look at.
So very right, very well. And then you are hitting the nail right on the head. Talking about sustainability of this, we realized that once the place was burnt down, the following day, someone erected a structure for a beer bar. So if have measures to sustain the place, I'm sure once it's been burnt down, the military can form patrol teams and all that to be going in and around that particular area to make sure that the people cannot come back to come and perpetrate the crimes that they were doing. And if you are unemployed, that shouldn't also give you the opportunity or that shouldn't give you the leeway to actually go and then destroy lives for everyone in the community.
But then I also think that they could have rather, deployed the military to go there, issue a warning and tell them, you've been given 3 days, everybody evacuate, carry your property and go, and then something else is done. Because now that this place has been burnt down, some people will come back to try to salvage whatever property they have left, and try to rebuild, just like we had in the Kantamanto issue. Yeah. And like you said, even just a day after Abrewan Ninkran was down, somebody erected a BS structure again. So why not evacuate these people if you are deporting the foreigners or detaining everybody? Something else should have been done that's like rather structured, because now all these people have just fled. They could go in a group and come back to another side of West, So I think they should have rather approached this with a more systematic plan than just
but the fight against Galamsey is not that which like a gentle one.
Yes.
You should be very, I don't want to use the word brutal, but that is almost how it's going to go. Because when you look at the devastating effects of Galamsey, the babies that are being given birth to with deformities and all that, when you give them the chance to salvage properties, they are going to salvage the properties that they used to do Galamsey. This settlement
that's true.
Was just brought up 3 years ago. That means 3 years prior, they were having sources of livelihoods. They were living. They were actually doing other things that were giving them income. And then they now come and then get a settlement to perpetrate these crimes.
Yeah.
So if you are going to sack them and you are giving them a 3 weeks notice,
3 days notice, that's too much.
And all that, then they are just going to move out their equipment and go deeper into the forest. And
so,
then settle
it seems
now
damned if we do, damned if we don't. Because one of the ways that, general people, especially impoverished people, to certain forceful activities by, the powers that be, they also fight back. So in a situation like this, we've heard over the years where maybe military or personnel deployed are also attacked because of the fact that they're also aggrieved by what's happening. So if we could have some sort of middle ground where an understanding will come. So that's why I was suggesting that when these people have been given this 3-day notice, wherever you came from, like you said, you had a livelihood before you came. Wherever you came from, go. And go and, find something else doing. Leave this place, else you would risk losing your life, your property.
Yeah, I think, Nana says some people are engaged in illegality. I don't think we should give them prize.
It's like,
but at the end of the day, these are lives.
Someone is stealing, and then you are telling him that I'm giving you 3 days. Take the tools that you are using to steal, and then
no. But like you said, it's not all of them, right? Because I'm sure if, let's say, your family goes, maybe your dad is the one who is but you are just a little boy going to school and things. Why should you become collateral damage? That's what I mean in a sense where like there are innocent people also in there.
It's not like they've not given them information.
So they knew about it.
Like every day we talk about Galamsey. It's not today.
That's true.
Yeah, so we talk. And to your surprise, that same Subri Forest, I think last month, was a fight between the military and some civilians.
You see, they get attacked.
To understand that the military have to call for reinforcement before they were able to arrest these people to secondary prisons.
Well, I'm sure we'll get more on this issue, and I'm hoping that they don't regroup in another side of the forest to settle into. But
this is a feather in the cap of the Ghana military, and looking at what they're doing, they've recently, as I mentioned, been given some new equipment like helicopter and tools to fight against Galamsey, helicopters, other how do you call it? These radioactive devices that can actually detect metals from the sky and all that. And this is a feather in their cap in the sense that they are actually doing the right thing. And if they should actually target and then some of the forests that we have, some of the reserves that we think are reserved but are being used for Galamsey, I'm sure the fight against Galamsey will end soon.
All right. So let's quickly into your digitalized newspapers. So who will go first?
Clement, I will not start with.
Yes, I mean mine is in the world of sports. So, I think we've actually spoken a little bit about them. So
so this is Daily Graphic, and it says on the front page of Easter celebration, Christians leaders call for sacrifices, that is love, and it also says government takes over gold fields, Daman mines. I think we talked about this story last Tuesday,
and that also that's causing about the Daman Gold Fields Reserve is costing about over 9,000 people losing their jobs.
Yes. That is
we spoke about it on Tuesday.
But the whole issue was about some irregularities that the company wasn't able to meet. That's why government was doing that. And there's another story. It says, use Koko Easter to heal all wounds. That is from Dasebre in Japan. But the main story is President launched 1 million coders initiative. Yes, that is the main story on the front page.
So we also have it here in the online news. So maybe we'll go into it when we get
I'm
here.
very much interested in that. But let me just take a look at what's going on in Africa Sports. And which is that Asare vows to restore Heart's glory. That's Benjamin Asare. That's who we affectionately call Benjamin Clean Sheet Asare. He's actually vowed to restore Heart's glory, Accra Hearts of Oak. Essentially, they've not been in the limelight for their performances. Just last season, they were battling relegation. But he has come in to say that he's vowing that he, as the captain of the club, is going to restore former years where Accra Hearts of Oak used to go and battle it out in Africa and all that.
But they didn't win the match yesterday
against Vision FC.
Yes,
we have more details.
Okay.
And then Mohamed Kudus has also been linked with a mega move to Chelsea, and that's another thing that is raising eyebrows. Chelsea, although one of the topmost clubs in England, they've been seen to kill
Chelsea is the best.
But Chelsea's track record hasn't been very good these days, right?
That one is just some small hitches.
I see. Also a Chelsea
2006 football fan.
I know a Chelsea fan somewhere. I've been laughing at almost every day.
Yes.
Anyway.
And then the last one says that Techi draws inspiration from Azuma ahead of fights. So that's Samotechi, who is a boxer. He's also saying that he draws inspiration from Azuma Nelson, famous Zoom, ahead of his fight that he's going to fight soon.
So with the boxing industry, I think our president has some initiatives going on for those sports. Do we know about those?
So yes, we were trying to get a hand of the sports minister for him to give clarity on some of these initiatives. And the president is a very big fan of boxing. We've seen his presence at the Bukum Boxing Arena whenever bouts are being held and all that. His son as well has also led the forefront of this particular initiative. He's actually given them more, how do you call it, sort of the allowance that he's given in terms of funding when it comes to boxing initiatives. He's actually done a lot, and he's also paved way for juvenile boxing and all that. We have coaches like Coach Otuasare that from Bukum and Jamestown and the likes. When you go on the streets, picking up street children and engaging them into boxing, turning their street aggression into something that can be more profitable and or maybe a career-wise. So he's actually done. They have some of these initiatives that are being put in place to make sure that boxing Ghana can restore its former glory when it comes to boxing.
Oh, right. So then let's go quickly into the online news, right? Or do we have more on our digitalized newspapers?
So I think I've exhausted now.
Okay, so the story here is about the Coders program. So Ghana launches 1 million Coders program to drive digital transformation and job creation. So the government has officially unveiled the 1 million Coders program, a bold national project designed to train 1 million citizens in coding and digital skills, with the aim of fostering innovation, creating jobs, and driving economic growth. The launch event took place on Wednesday, April 16, 2025 in Accra, with satellite stations across the country also joining in the celebration. The event gathered prominent figures from the tech industry, government bodies, and international development partners to mark the start of transformative digital empowerment effort. Now, during his speech, the Minister for Communications, Digital Innovation and Technologies, Sam Nati George, emphasized the critical role of the initiative in shaping the future of Ghana's digital landscape. Yes, we're coming to code. I remember our former vice president, was also very interested in this digitalization, especially with the coding, where he said even the KIA would get the chance to code. So, I mean, it's still back to digitalization. What do we think? What are our takes?
Well, I don't know if coding is a platform that not just about coding, right? Let me just talk about the initiative. They're talking about 1 million coders, right? So some of these things, you may think that it's being far-fetched, but the interest when it comes to these initiatives are actually on the uprise. Now, when they started, they were planning on just doing 260 people, just doing a pilot with them.
Yeah.
But then from the first day that they announced, within 3 hours, they had 4,000 applications. 4,000 applications, and then they decided to extend their to double the pilot program to 520 people. As at yesterday, just a few hours before the launch, over 91,000 people had actually decided to actually go into that particular program. A good initiative, but where the but is the sustainability of it. How to track progress when it comes to this part. Otherwise, it will become like maybe the school feeding program, where a lot of money is allocated to feed people, and then you end up not seeing the effects of it properly. That's how government initiatives have been down the line. And I hope that this particular one, and looking at the effects that it has, John Mahama, that's the president, he also made remarks and linked it to Ghana's blue economy. I don't know how the link is actually there, but then he actually mentioned that this is a drive that's going to even enhance Ghana's blue economy. That means there are some jobs that are being targeted towards the maritime and all those things, and then they are linked to the coders. So if this is actually taken very good, and then there's a way to track progress. There's a way to track, because coding in itself, you can have just an entry level introduction to Python or introduction to C++, introduction to PHP, and then that alone will not set you on to be a coder.
Sure.
But if there can be a way to track progress from one end to another, you've done the introductory phase, the tools that are going to be available, the laptops and all those things that are going to be available for these people, the kind of specifications on the laptop, because you don't use the laptop for these things. So if you are able to do that, and they are also talking about enhancing AI, artificial intelligence, together with the coding. If you are able to train and then make sure that there's a way to track progress. That's my problem. Sustainability and tracking of progress when it comes to this thing. Then it's going to be one of the best initiatives ever. We've seen programs such as other initiatives springing up. We've seen companies like Coded coming up with initiatives to make sure that they are making sure that they're including females, that's in the coded competitions and all that. These are initiatives that are going to that track progress. Inter-school competitions when it comes to coding for women, how to include, so that everyone is carried along. You can track the progress clearly. These are initiatives that are going to work.
Since lockdown, actually, you realize that there was a demand for soft skills, and then this whole coding thing became more popular, and along with other soft skills aside coding. So there's a myriad of skills related to the coding, and a lot of companies actually sprang up where people were learning from them. They were training people and things. So if push comes to shove, I think the government can just actually liaise with all these companies and things like that, so that when, like you're saying, the progress tracking and things, like when these people actually employed or actually being trained by these private companies, not necessarily all the funds will be sent to these private people, because we know how it can get sometimes, but as a way to keep them on their toes, and then as a way to also provide them, so these computers and things like that you mentioned, there can actually be a form of checking how much money is going to be invested, because we know that people tend to inflate costs of some of the materials and resources needed. So I think I remember MEST Africa and things like some other institutions like that actually do train people. And what you mentioned, that even incorporating girls into it, if we have these companies liaising with the government, then it could help in a way, because like you're saying, 1 million, who exactly is the government even going to charge with this task to handle 1 million people, if not people who are already in the business and can do something? So I think, people should come up, some of these institutions should come up and help else.
I think what you're saying is true in terms of gender balance and inclusiveness. Yesterday, the president spoke about it, and the minister also spoke about it. And I remember earlier the minister said that even the pilot phase is going to have 50-50 gender balance. So if now they are going to double the figure, initially they were looking at 260, and now it's going to be around 520. Meaning we expect 260 males, 260 females. That is a 50-50 gender we're talking about. In terms of inclusiveness, the president made the whole public understand that it's not going to be centered only in the 4 sectors or the 4 places they talked about. That is in Accra, in Bolgatanga, Kumasi, and Sunyani. But this is just for the pilot phase. The next phase they are going to do is they are going to make sure all the district assemblies, the municipal and the metropolitan assemblies, they get to that centers too. Such places, we have what we call the information center at community information centers at the various MMDAs. So they are going to use centers as a training center for all this kind of initiative. That is what he also talked of. In terms of when he mentioned the partnership with a private organization, the president yesterday made us understand that there are lots of private organizations already come and they are already in the process of finalizing issues also with them. My major concern is it anybody at all who can apply? Is it anybody at all, or it's people who have the knowledge in coding a little bit? Because looking at the courses they are going to write, they have the certificates for data analysis, certificate for data officer, certificate for data manager. As Nana said, it's from a process to a process. So at what point in time would, let's say, an ordinary person who is so much interested in this, which classification the person is going to be into? Those who are already into coding, when they move into it, which classification are they going to be? So I think there should be more education for we Ghanaians to understand. The 91,000 and over people have actually applied. Some might apply based on what they've heard. Others might apply because they know what they are going in for. So the question we should let education go down. As immediately the website was open, people just applied. We will have people like that.
Yeah, some people are also applying out of unemployment and
so
things.
we should make sure that who are those people? Is the ordinary? If so, then what are we looking at for? In terms of sustainability, as Nana said, the president made us understand the Minister for Communication and Education, they are actually in talk to make sure that they integrate digital literacy in our curriculum, especially the universities, tertiary, and the what we call the polytechnic, or now we have the technical universities, because most of us, we go to school and we are done, and at the end of the day, the only thing we know is just normal thing in using the phone calls and other things. I was speaking with our IT person here in Clock TV last 2 days. It was like, a system is there, Nana, he can use to get access to your phone without you knowing, without you connecting to him. He will know what you are doing, the call you make, the person you chat, wherever you go to. He can monitor everything.
Hey, this thing you are saying, people's girlfriends will be interested.
So that is a form of IT that most of us are not aware of. And you'll be ignorant because someone will be using that thing to track you. Someone will be using that thing to get even access to your personal information.
And breach your privacy.
Yes. So we are expecting more in this coding thing, and we are saying that, as the minister said, it's going to be problem solving thing. It shouldn't be theory. We are sick and tired of theory. They said it's going to be to solve problems. We have a problem of scammers, frauding, and it's all about this data protection thing. So the coders, those who are so much interested in it.
We have a problem with that as well when it comes to the scammers and all those things, because those people are also interested in actually doing how to expand on their craft.
But
so
you know,
have different intentions going into it. But
there's also a bigger problem, as you mentioned, in terms of the digital literacy. The basic Microsoft Word and IT, what is it called? Is it when we go for computer in our schools? How many schools in Ghana, public schools, have a fully furnished computer lab for students?
So this is one thing that we have to actually get or put in place in order.
Yes, it has to start from somewhere. If they have the foundations, because I have one at home where I have a younger sister at home. She's in the university, right? I'm sorry, baby. So they were writing IA. She's in Legon, and you know the IA they use I think Sakai or one of these UGCS things. And I had to teach her how to use the mouse, else she wouldn't have been able to, because she did not have access to that in SHS. You see, so we took a few days to learn the basics for her to go and be able to write her exam. This is somebody who's already in the university. If she wants to learn coding right now, She doesn't even know warm boot and cold boot, first of all. Right click, left click is even a problem. So we need to even start from there. Yeah. Finishing these computer labs and even these schools for these students to have some basic knowledge, because you put a laptop in front of somebody who has not operated one before, where are they going to start from to get to coding? Even some of us, master's degree holders and things, don't even know how this whole coding thing even starts, you know. So the problems are from the root.
Exactly. So as he mentioned that the president said they are going to encourage inculcate that
the curriculum,
the IT literacy in the curriculum, and not just inculcating it, but also providing the necessary tools and then the infrastructure that they would need. Sure. We look at most schools, then they do not have IT labs. That's true. But then they were talking about using the MMDs, the information centers, the community information centers as areas of training for them. And now what we would have actually expected to see was the types of trainings, because the websites were supposed to have sort of maybe indicated all that. Before you actually let people register or indicate their interest, there should be some preamble, or there should be some education or it becomes as though you are just rushing to just roll it out, and then it becomes a white elephant after some time, which I pray and hope that it doesn't become. So what we need is that the education on this particular coding, and then the infrastructure, equip these community information centers with IT tools, laptops. And we don't want to see just ordinary laptops. Exactly. Like we've all been in the country, we've heard of RLG saga and all those things. We do not want to see those things happening anymore. We want to see this time around, and I believe Honorable Minister Sam Nate George, that he's going to actually make sure that it's done. If there's anybody that is going to make sure that it's done, then he looks like the right person to make sure that the community information centers are well equipped. It's included in the school, the IT literacy is in basic school curriculum. And then their IT labs too are also equipped.
Yes, so because they already do learn. We've seen so many images of a teacher having to draw the computer and the mouse and those things. So now they need to finish, because the students are learning IT all right. They are because I remember seeing textbooks, storage devices, all of that, but they don't have the hands-on practice. And I think they should even rather introduce the basics of all of what they are teaching into the IT course. So maybe when you get to, I don't know, whether JHS or SHS, you start learning these things, then whether you are interested or not, when you do apply, you already have some knowledge, then you can move forward. But if we decide to stay on this, we will talk about it for the whole day. Now we have...
just before you move on, I just want to also talk about Ghanaian companies as well, being finished or being equipped enough to provide some of these IT tools, tablets, and you can just set up a production plant for these things, which will produce maybe 500 laptops in a week, or maybe in a month.
That's capital-intensive, though.
That is, but we've invested in that particular line before. Just when I mentioned the RLG saga, and I realized that the government actually set up these things to be able to distribute laptops to schools. Yes. We've had it along the line. But when you're going to Osu Night Market, there's this white tall building just before you curve into the Osu Night Market on the curve. That was where the initiative used to be. They used to do the distribution, where they used to do the assembling and all that. But right now, we don't see it anymore.
Yes, so and even those laptops, like you said, it's not just any kind of laptop you use for. So something like RLG, I mean, they would have to improve upon it because the quality at the time, well...
Yeah, it begs to question, but this is another thing that they have to consider and look at.
All right, thank you so much. So we have a few comments here. This one says, good morning, Koko Digest. Kudos to you. God bless you guys. I am Masari from Kibi. Then this one also says, good morning, pretty lady and my handsome men. Nice to have Nanaya back. Welcome. This is from Salome from East Legon. Then, hello, Koko Digest. Good morning. Clement is looking really nice. Clement, my heart goes out to you. This is from Joyce from Kaswa. Hey, madam. we are please, we are observing Easter.
Is there anything that we should... Clement, what's happening?
Oh, no, that's nothing. It's about Easter. You are showing love to each other.
Right.
So another thing to mention is that Clement has also moved from where he is. I don't know whether
let's go into the next story quickly. We don't have much time. So this one says the finance minister justifies the utility tariff increases as part of the IMF deal. And this one, it says here, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Kasiola Forson, has explained that the recent utility tariff hikes announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission are part of Ghana's ongoing commitments under the agreement with the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. This follows the PURC's decision to increase electricity tariffs by 14.75% and water charges by 4.02%, effective from May 3, 2025. Dr. Attoforsen also emphasized these adjustments are crucial for unlocking the next $370 million tranche from the IMF. Addressing the media at a press conference in Accra on Tuesday, April 15, the finance minister clarified, the adjustments you witness are part of the quarterly review by the PURC, which was originally last year. We've ensured this process is aligned with the agreed statutory benchmark as outlined in our third review with the IMF.
Yes, I think I know this something.
Electricity tariffs are about to go up again.
Who will speak more on this story? It's part of our business.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. So we won't debate on it too much.
So, if you have something to.
I mean, IMF. We also have to talk about he saying that there's no need to renegotiate the IMF deal, and the reason why he said was because if you try and say we should go and renegotiate, it means you don't believe in the ideology or maybe how it's helped the country and all that. You know, we've received some tranches of money. The latest one being in December, around 8th December or so, or 3rd December, I should say, where we received about $3.2 billion to help boost our economy. So all these were measures that were put in place to make sure that we'll be able to stand on our feet, because we went to IMF to tell them that we are broke. And now it looks as though all the measures that they put in place turned around to come and sort of the final burden was on the ordinary Ghanaian. And when you look at the way it is, the reason why a lot of people are crying over the tariff hikes and all that is because the ordinary Ghanaian was not responsible for these. Let's say the downturn of our economy. It was because of the mismanagement by the political class. So why is it that government has gone to mismanage and then in the end we are suffering for it? But anyway, as you said, we are going to talk more about it in the business segment.
Yes. Well,
it's interesting. That thing is very interesting.
They mentioned they are going to be doing quarterly reviews as opposed to as and when, and I think it's a good thing because now after every 3 months you get to know how the economy is faring and whether tariffs need to be increased or left alone.
Something PURC do.
Yes.
They do it quarterly.
Okay.
They review the
yes,
tariffs.
and they were supposed to do some time back. But they didn't do it, and now
so we have a built up into all this.
So the reason why I don't think it's much of a good news to us is because when have we heard PURC have gone for meetings and then have come back to say that they are reducing water by 3%, or they are doing this?
But the last time, president, the recent yes, they said we are not going to pay less for some time.
We pay levy, please.
We ended up, no, but you know, that was a political statement. The PURC was never in agreement with that particular thing, and then we ended up paying for it in other ways or forms. But so if whenever we go for these loans and all that, you know, there are certain sanctions placed on employment. Maybe you can't employ people in the civil service, you can't employ people in certain aspects of the public service, you can't employ people in certain aspects of the economy. So it makes production be at a certain stalemate or standstill. Yet our economy is supposed to be sort of come back or be rejuvenated. A lot of these things. Now we are going to increase tariff hikes to 14% when it comes to electricity, 4% when it comes to water. Now, when you increase these things, mind you, the ordinary public servant salary was increased by just 10%. You are reducing the disposable income of individuals in the country, and sort of with all these things, right? When you reduce the disposable income of people, how then do they sort of maybe.
So it becomes plus 1 minus 1.
Yes,
So it's back to
Plus
0
1
because
minus
the
1.
10% now we are going to use to buy power and water.
This one is plus 1 minus 3. Because it's not only the tariff. There could be any other issues
Yes,
to come
these
in.
tariffs will probably reflect
increased.
on,
So,
commodities.
things,
and
yeah.
that's how it is. It's a vicious cycle we are in, but here we are. Anyways, this brings us to the end of the Koko Digest morning show's online newspaper review. We have a comment from our very own Obiba Wilson, and he says, "Good morning, Koko Digest crew. I really miss you guys. I'm so happy this morning. We have missed you too. Thank you so much for commenting." Then this one is for Nanaya. So Ogatimi says, "I see you, Nanaya. Sorry. See how you they smile because Arsenal qualify." So yes, the online newspaper review segment has ended. Next is the lifestyle segment, and they will be talking about tourism, the Easter celebration adventures, with regards to Kwewu, the tourism going on there. Then the business segment would also be talking about the travel demand for Easter. So yes, what about sports? Do you have anything Easter related?
Yes,
I mean, we'll be talking about the Easter fixtures when it comes to the English Premier League, and then when it comes to the Ghana Premier League. We are just about 8 games to go in the Ghana Premier League, or less. I should say 7 games. I should say to go in the Ghana Premier League. Kumasi Asante Kotoko, BBN Gold Stars are going hammer and tons. The Champions League fixtures, the semi-final. Arsenal is going to face PSG at the Emirates Stadium.
Hey, then there's a lot going to happen.
FC Barcelona going to face Internacional Milan at the San Siro. So a lot of these things are going to happen. So yes, fingers crossed. Exciting fixtures and exciting news ahead.
Wow, you heard it from the sportsman himself. So yes, this year.
Is there any sporting activity for us this Easter?
So the thing is that we tried to get a football pitch to go and play on. The last time we played, you played very well as well.
Yes. So Clock TV's men are also upcoming footballers. I see.
But then we lost against the Lawyers.
Okay.
So we are now going back to go and face them. And then we tried to get a pitch, but then they were scared. So they said we should play after Easter.
Okay.
I see. So as you can see, there's a lot coming up very soon. So yes, do stay tuned. Right after this break will be the lifestyle segment with their guests to talk about Easter celebrations.
our very own Nanaya Asari in the so. Give us some, just, you know what I mean. So let's get straight into the conversation. Hi, Edna.
Hi, Mimi.
Hi, Nana.
Hello.
Nana, are you okay?
Very, very much. I mean, can I not be? I'm not serenaded by. No, I'm in good company. Let me just put it this way.
I can see that, you know, all written on your face.
Two very beautiful girls, and I'm on set with them. So. Two very
Edna.
beautiful women.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's enough of the compliments. Let's talk about Easter.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are in the Easter season and it's all about celebrations.
I mean, Jesus Christ will die tomorrow and you're already in red.
I've started mourning. I'm a typical Ghanaian. I can't wait for him to die.
Hallelujah.
Anana.
Yes. Well, I'm not actually mourning. I'm actually rejoicing because I know the significance of his death. Because if he doesn't die, he'll not resurrect, right? So, and then he'll not ascend to give us the freedom that we actually have now. So I'm actually rejoicing. I know most of you mourn with a lot of things. Edna, like this, I'm sure she's mourning all the way to Kwehu.
I'll be
right
mourning in my room,
show.
please.
I should have brought a whistle.
Okay. It's all written all over you. But I mean, let's start off with our experiences. I mean, over the years, for me personally, Kwehu hasn't been a thing for me during Easter.
Yeah.
It has always been church. As you can see, I'm always a church girl. So my church organizes a convention where we go outside, sometimes outside Accra, to go and, you know, celebrate the Easter there. So we worship and then feast together. Well, the highlights for me is that we come together, we get to share our experiences with our church members, people you've not spent nights with, you get to sleep, you know, in the same place, talk about, you know, stuff, relationships, school, everything. So it's always fun. We have that spiritual aspect as well.
So do you camp?
Yes.
That's like an Easter
yes.
camp. So
Something
is
like
it the
that.
youth or the whole church?
Oh, the whole church.
Oh.
But we have our rooms, like,
okay.
so sometimes we go to a school and then we are given classrooms. It's a beautiful experience. I don't know if you've had such before.
I have, but then mine wasn't during Easter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Easter in my church, we used to have picnics on Easter Monday.
Oh, okay.
So you can cook and then you with your friends and family.
Are they doing it this Monday?
Yes,
What's
please.
the name of your church? I may need to.
Please.
Please. Nana, Nana, we know you are not, you know, a church person. You are not
really. I'm actually a very much of a church person.
I don't know you
very
to be
much
that.
of a church.
Hey.
I'm also fundamental.
Okay, then share your experience with us.
So when it comes to Easter, right, a lot of the attention is driven towards Kwehu area.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons, one of the main ideas, or I don't know, one of the fond memories I have with Easter was growing up. We're offering the Krapim tree, and then they'll mention the clan or the group, and then you mention their festival. Okay. So they'll mention the Anglos. You mention Hubetutu. They mention Ga. You mention Homawo, and then they mentioned Kwehu. the Kwehu people.
Easter.
So the Kwehu people, and someone said something very profound. I thought maybe that was a funny statement, but they mentioned Kwehu, and then someone shouted, "Yesu amani."
I wasn't expecting this.
and it ended up being correct. That's how they term Easter.
Oh, really?
So that is their festival for the people of Kwehu. So a lot of the attention, a lot of traffic is driven towards Kwehu. But I am I've done church camps around Easter as well.
Oh, okay.
I've also done maybe some journeys away from the Kwehu region because I usually don't like where there's crowded, a lot of traffic and crowded places. So I've done trips towards the Sajuna, towards the Royal Senchi area. I've done also trips towards the Kidside.
Okay, so this year, where are we headed? Where are we going to?
is talking.
Is it Dubai? Or Tanzania?
This year we'll spend some time with the family. So we'll stay at home.
Okay, let me come back to you, Edna. Yeah. Enough of the church things. We know Edna to be, you know, you are always there, everywhere.
During Christmas, we know that Sakra Day, Central Region, those masquerades.
Anchors.
Yes, but this time the best doesn't come the west. It is coming from the east. We are going straight to enjoy.
So east.
East.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes, you get me.
Yeah,
Right. So I had a call that right now, as I am speaking, the traffic is massive.
Right.
And then I will be going in the evening. So you all pray with me. Yes. So Easter is fun for me. I get a chance to celebrate or appreciate the life God has given me because Jesus Christ died for my sins. But then, in as much as I may cry and everything, I have to rejoice.
Yes.
So I will be having fun in Kwewu. And if you meet me in Kwewu, just say hi and I will. Yeah, so there are a lot of activities going on there, you know, fun and paragliding. That's my favorite. I haven't really gotten the courage to, to be on one, but I hope one day I would get the courage.
I mean, it's not too late. This can try.
What if my family members use me for an example, my dear?
but there's been zero casualties recorded.
Yes. But the height, I am afraid.
Once you actually do it once, right? It was like me. I went to Kakum some time back. My first time being there, and I was also I'm also not that good with when it comes to height. I had a little bit of phobia, but then I went once. And it was very shaking. Immediately I finished, I was like, I did this. So I went again and again. So for that particular time, I just overcame the fear. And then I was rather encouraging other people to do it. So I'm sure when you go there this particular time, I know some people that can link you up.
Sure, we'll come back to Edna on the Kwewu experience. But let me stay with you, Nana. To you personally, what would you say Easter is like to you as a Christian, as a young man?
Yeah. So Easter is about the death and the resurrection of Christ. A lot of people consider the death aspect of it, but then it's also about the resurrection of Christ. And not only that, it talks about 40. I don't want to start preaching over here, but
you can take us there.
It talks about the 40 days after the
You'll be winning souls at the end of the
40 days after the resurrection of Christ and all that he did, going to make sure that the law is fulfilled and all that. So it doesn't only talk about just the crucifixion, the crucifixion and the death, but it talks about the ascension and then it talks about the resurrection and the ascension. So 40 days after he resurrected, what he was doing and all that. So it talks about all of that. And that's what it means to me. And the Bible even says that if one man's sin was able to put us all in bondage for that particular length of time, that's Adam's sin, then one man's blood as well is able to cleanse us all from the sins that we had actually been in. So that is the of Jesus which has cleansed us. So there's so much joy in the resurrection. There's so much peace. There's so much. A lot of things come together when it comes to the resurrection.
But don't you think there has been a misinterpretation as to how we understand the importance or the significance of this blood? You know, I don't want to mention Kwewu, but I mean, the people that go to Kwewu, we know they are not going to preach the gospel or they are not going to win souls.
No. So
they are going to preach the gospel, right? They are going to perpetrate the gospel.
Yes.
They are going to show the love of God.
Mine is 50-50.
Yes,
okay.
50-50.
So, yes, in as much as I may go out, please, in as much as I may. So this evening when I get home, I'll be walking, like training to pubs, like there will be lively music everywhere, street walks. And tomorrow, the same thing again. So on Sunday morning, I will go to church. You can check into my luggage. You'll find the church wear. I'll wear my white because yes, so I will go to church and I will go and thank
So to
God.
you, there is a balance between the
me,
fun and then the spirituality aspect.
Yes, exactly. And
okay. I know you are not from Kwewu.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you feel when you get there? Because it's like a new place for you.
So, let me start from this place. I followed a friend to Kwewu.
Male or female?
A female.
Hey,
it wouldn't be bad if I follow a female.
I'm asking for the many, crashers out there.
Okay, it's female. It's female.
Female. We have to clarify things.
Yes, it's a female. And then she comes from Oboming. So I happened to meet her. Oboming.
Okay.
Yes, so I followed her, and then that has been the the happiest moment in my life since 2023, and I am still going for Kwewu.
Wow. I would say this on record that Edna is the first female who has followed another female, and that being the happiest thing in her life. Wow.
I chose right. I mean, I made the best shit.
Nana, have you also had such an experience following a male friend and then that being the happiest?
I
or yours is a team, a football team.
I'm mincing my words very, very rightly. Kwewu is a very beautiful place. I've not gone there during the Easter period, but I've gone there in other periods, and I've actually gone there with other people to actually see the paragliding team in its full force. You know, I've gone there with some expatriates to see the place, to look at some of the hotels.
We'll come to the paragliding aspect. Please don't change the topic. I'm just asking.
Ask me again.
Edna said she followed a female to a place, and that has been the best experience.
I cannot relate. I cannot relate. My hands are up.
Now Paris watching. Okay, so now continue.
Yes, so when we got there, the fun and everything, but I made a mistake. I didn't tell any of my family members, but I was safe. Because I was going with a female.
Why would you be going somewhere with a female and not informing your mom or your dad?
They wouldn't have allowed me because but
were you not scared? Like, I'm asking these questions for, let's say, someone watching us who wants to also embark on a journey like that.
I was a bit scared, looking at the fact that they were talking about how scary the mountain is and everything. But we went with like a private transport, so everything was cool.
That's your friend, yeah.
Yeah, so she was loving,
so
and then
she drove you to the place?
and it was fun. We met new people, you know, the boys will be rushing to you, but girl, don't fall into temptation. At that moment, Jesus is dead. At that moment, we are hot. So on Monday, everything becomes down. Like everyone is going back to Accra. There's not much any activity going on Mondays. And I learned that during Kwewu, it starts from Monday. During Easter, it starts from Monday. So I think they build some wooden structures. And on Monday, you peer through fear. You think, because you won't see anything. Like, experience, no, that is all. We've ended. You get me? Yes. And during Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday, most times people go into the pubs to have times with their families and friends. And then I think Rock City, you'll be to
I even want to talk about accommodation.
So at this point, I'm not sure you'll get any hotel. So it's either you are perching with a friend, or you are sleeping in your car.
But do people sleep at all during
the day, like in the afternoon? Then you sleep, because in the evening you see a lot of people. Yes. People are stealing phones, others are stealing money.
Then you'd have to be very careful with your stuff when you go there.
Be extra secured and everything.
Okay, Nana, away from Kwewu, let me come to you. Since you said you'll be staying at home and then with family, what do you intend doing? I mean, for people watching us who would also want to learn.
There are so many fun activities that you can do, especially when you're with a family in and around the Christmas period. So the Easter period, I should say, sorry. So there are board games that you can actually play, and they get somewhat very competitive. So there's how do you call it? There's Monopoly, there's Ludo, there's Uno, which is one of my favorite games now. There are quite a lot of games that you can actually play with your family and friends around. That's on one. You end up going to church on the other. You cook good food. And you know, most of the time, fathers are away, mothers are also maybe at work, children are going to school and all that. So if you want to imbibe certain principles and disciplines in your children, there's no better time than to actually sit with them at school period and then talk to them. Talk to them and imbibe the discipline that you want, because I'm sure this is going to afford families to maybe have that kind of communion, sit together, talk, visit. Some of you see that people will be going to visit their parents, grandfathers, and all that. And then the traffic in Accra has all been taken to Kwewu. So
you can drive
the roads
everywhere.
a lot more.
But I want to ask you this. You've been talking about family. What about relationship? What do you intend doing with your girl? Or you wanted to go to Kwewu and then you will be in Accra?
My dear, just last weekend, he was somewhere with the girl. That is why he doesn't go to Kwewu.
What are you?
That's the secret.
I don't know what you are talking about. I mean, on national TV.
On national TV.
I mean,
And that's an expose, please.
So yeah, there are. As I said, there are quite some few.
You don't necessarily have to use your personal, thing, but it's just an advice.
I'm not using any now, yes. Yeah. But anyway, if you have a girlfriend and you want to actually go out, maybe this time you can do. There are some budget-friendly places that you can actually go. There are beaches and all that arcades. That you can actually go. Arcades, gaming arcades. I'm sure you're more of an adventure person, so gaming arcades you can go for. I mean,
live band.
Yes.
Hey, Edna.
So Fridays, and I know that the Clocksack band plays very good music at Jamrock.
Yeah.
So you can go there at Oak Plaza Hotel. These are like budget-friendly locations that you can actually go to.
Okay.
And you can have fun doing it the right way in the name of the Lord.
In the name of the Lord. Thank you very much for adding that. But Edna, let me come back to you.
Okay.
You will be traveling with your female friend.
Yeah.
Leaving behind your partner.
I never said I have a partner anyway.
Edna.
He is saying.
Oh no.
Okay, so assuming you had a partner,
Okay.
This show or this segment is mainly to educate people and also give them some form of recommendations and advice. So
I like the way you are probing into it. Like you are doing it, like you are not doing it, and then you are hitting the nail right on the head. Like you'll be going and you believe in your partner.
It's experience.
I think after asking me, you should ask say.
No.
Definitely. we have some questions.
I want to know. Okay. I mean, when does create some form of issues between you and your partner?
Before Edna comes in, let me say that during Easter, those who go and some of them will tell them that I'm going to my mom's house. My mom's house, the network is not good over there. So when you call me, you may not get me. And then they go and then you call them.
Hey.
And relationships shake during this particular period. So there are a lot of relationships that are on
and that is why we are hitting.
My uncle says I should escort him somewhere.
Yes,
I'm
going
sure
with the family. I'm going with so I can't make calls.
In the military. We are going to the forest to combat galamsey. So I'm not sure in the forest we're gonna talk. A lot of these things.
But before Edna comes in, what we are seeing on the screen are just some videos that were taken during the 2024 Easter celebrations, and we can see some people adventurously.
But I think it will be fun.
This is not actually scary because you have control of the whole kit. Because with the paragliding, there are things that you can actually push. It's been tried and tested.
So this is the street walk.
Swear.
Just say nipa benante.
You just be walking from one joint to the
other. And then one thing I liked about this experience was that a lot of companies, so you would see, I don't want
brands,
to sponsor or say anything to sponsor them, but you see brands advertising their products, especially the telecommunication. So it was fun. Some educate you, some give you freebies, and then I love that. So everything about it was perfect. Now,
oh, I mean, it's something. What I actually want to experience, right, is not with the Kwewu Easter because I, as I mentioned, I don't really like the crowded and then the way everybody tends to go there. What I actually want to experience, right, is the kind of family setting in Takrade around the Christmas period.
The Christmas period, and I think you have to follow Clement to his, And I'm excited about this because we will be speaking to the Deputy Director of the Domestic Marketing at the Ghana Tourism Authority, and he will be sharing more light on what we are seeing on our screens, especially with regards to paragliding and also the Easter itself. And so we are hoping that we can connect with him. I think he will join us in few minutes. But let me come back to you, Edna.
No, let us come back to you. Remember we said we're going to ask you the question.
Okay, ask.
Yes, So,
because I know I'm single in the Lord.
What's he asking?
You can't ask me.
So that was what you were.
No. So what are your Easter plans this particular?
Yes.
For
this? Okay. So just as I said earlier, as a church girl, it's all about church. Because my church is organizing almost every Friday.
Oh, okay.
So Good Friday, we'll go to church and then worship and pray and then
That's
come
tomorrow.
back home. Yeah. And then on Saturday is the Holy Saturday. So we are encouraged to stay in the house with our families and then,
And
meditate on the goodness of God and other things. And then on Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, we'll go to church in our white attire and then go and give praise for resurrecting, because before every action takes place, there needs to be a resurrection. So
Yes.
that resurrection.
I mean, I am so happy because on Friday, that's all my sins will be paid for.
That reminds me, someone even said, okay,
Yes.
so Jesus is going to resurrect on Sunday, so I need to have fun, I need to do all the bad things on
From
Friday.
January 1st to April 17th,
But
all that I
where
have
are
done.
all these indoctrinations and all these
Ghanaians,
ideologies come
we're
from?
always finding excuses for our sins. I mean,
Yeah.
so that is it. So for me, that's how my Easter celebration is going to be. But
How about with your significant other? Not your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but your partner. Maybe that's your... So what are the plans that you have for them in this particular period?
and I'm trusting the Lord. I'm still trusting the Lord that
Hallelujah.
He'll bring the right person.
Let me rephrase the question.
There is nobody, Nana.
Even the wrong person is not...
And I think you need to come and sit there so that I sit there. Because you can't be,
Anyway, that's just by the way.
So Edna, as I
Yeah.
was saying, how do you intend to solve this problem? Assuming you had a partner and then you're traveling with a female friend, going out, going to Kwewu.
The question is, how do you intend to solve the problem?
I'll come to you on that. So
I
how do you
mean,
guys?
I would love to go to Kwewu with my partner, but unfortunately, if I happen to go alone, I know he trusts me so well that he will know that I'm not going to do anything.
But wait,
bad.
you see, Edna just mentioned right on this show, on national television, that she's single. She's very much single. But right now, her partner trusts her. I mean,
No, you can be in a talking stage with someone.
Yeah.
But that's not.
Yes,
that is
you
not
know.
yet your partner, is it?
So I am single.
Hey, Edna.
And then I know that being in a talking stage with me, you should trust me enough to know I can do this,
Edna,
I can do
you
that.
are
But I
right.
know I can go
You
to
are
Kwewu
right.
and find my husband.
Hey,
Don't your boyfriend.
deny
Stop
me
you
from seeing your husband.
Exactly.
Nana, let me come to you.
Yes.
So, assuming you had son and then you wanted to embark on this journey, what would you do? What would you have done to ensure that you don't have conflict, before going and then after?
Well, I don't really know how, for people who have sort of who are in relation and want to actually do that. I think you should actually plan ahead. You should plan very much ahead, and make sure that you book your hotels in and around the January, February time.
November.
Okay. November. Some people even leave contacts right after this particular this thing, and then tell the receptionist that so friend, and then so these are things that you can actually do. And then because accommodation is very, very much important, how you are going to clean yourself up, taking bath, how you are going to sleep, shelter, and all that, and also make arrangements for transportation. Because if you do not have a means to convey yourself from one particular place to the other, transportation then becomes a hindrance.
But one thing I like about Ghanaians is that we always take a step of faith. I know some people will go there with, let's say, thousands, and then they are trusting God that they'll even come back with.
I feel Kwewu, they are very nice people. So even if you go there and then you need a place like a washroom or something, they are free. They can allow you go and have your bath, especially those that sleep in their cars. During the morning, just brush your sponge, enter into a house. Baby, I am in
that's really that's the nature of Ghanaians. That is the question you ask. That's not to say I'm not having a partner or anything, but this is something that's.
I don't want to ask for clarification.
No, I'm just clarifying it. We are living digital footprints everywhere we are. So yes.
But I think when you're there, you can have video calls with your partner, just so he knows your whereabouts and everything that goes on. I can tell him that I'm going with my best friend, a female best, and then if Deborah is called, then it's...
I feel all these things, hinge on transparency. You need to be and trust. Yeah, you need to be transparent.
Before we actually started the show, I asked you whether you've told your significant other whether you're actually, and then you were like, I was like, no, you should, because the main thing that one of my main mojos when it comes to these things is lack of communication always breeds assumptions. So when you do not communicate openly, and then it breeds assumptions, and assumptions leads to mistrust, leads to shaky conversations and lack of confidence in your partner and all that, and it causes all these things to happen. So yes, you have to communicate to them if you are going with them or without them. You should also live in a certain way that if you should tell your partner that I'm going to Kwewu, your partner will be like, okay, you can actually go and come. So it looks like we are doing a relationship 101.
Oh, no. I even wanted us to move to the next topic, which has to do with revenue generation for Ghana. I mean, economically, we are not doing so well. But when it comes to spending and, having fun, Ghanaians have the money for that. But when it comes to paying school fees, buying, basic needs, we don't have money. So what do you think government can do to, make sure that they make a lot out of...
So, one that someone actually said in this particular light was that since we always complain that we don't have money and all that, but then when it comes to Christmas, you see people buying, maybe Friday night to go to clubs, and you see people buying bottles and all that. So people are saying that then the government should cancel free SHS so that the money that the parents are supposed to actually use to pay the fees and all that, and the university fees and all, they end up using it or spending for fun and not rather engaging in other.
So because of that, we should cancel free SHS.
That's what someone was saying. But I mean, these are one thing about Ghanaians is that a lot of people is that when it comes to these things and how to spend or how to expend resources, people are. The average Ghanaian is prudent when it comes to his finances because you know that your resources are very finite. So if they are going to actually go to Kwewu, they start planning up ahead. That's the average Ghanaian. But there are other people too that say that so then they end up expending their resources or using their resources, and then later on we see them anyway, that's also just by the way. So it depends how the government can generate revenue from these things.
So I'm just asking.
So right now in its business, from parking of cars to vendors to selling of tickets during events and everything. When you go to Kwewu, the cars are a lot. The traffic is dangerous. Like you wouldn't human traffic, car traffic. Everything about it is
and
some
the roads
way.
are not as open as Accra roads.
So
they're like feeder roads.
The government can generate revenue through these. When you are parking your car, you pay something small. When a vendor wants space, he or she has to pay something to get the space. During live events like live bands, you pay, and then even when you are selling something, there should be tax on it. Can generate revenue because at that moment the number of people there is insane.
So with the tax, I think I'll agree with you. But with the parking of cars and other things, don't you think it's going to create conflict between landowners or shop owners?
So that is where the MMD is coming.
Exactly.
The municipal and the district assemblies as well. That's when they mean. So for every district, that if we demarcate and then we sort of show that our systems are in place, right? For every event, there should be a public parking space with a designated security person. So you are parking your car at where the government says that it's right for you to park. The district assemblies have actually set or made sure that these places are the right places that you park. You park and then you pay a token, and then you go and come back and you meet your things intact. So these are things that the DC they should centralize it.
You would have to hold on with us. We have our guests on the line, and he's the Deputy Director of Domestic Marketing at the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Kofi Atta Kakra Kusi, joining us on the line. Hello, sir.
Hello, Clock TV.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, please. Good morning. I'm so privileged. I got some engagement, so unfortunately, sorry for getting on the line too late. Please.
Don't worry. We just have 2 questions for you this morning.
Yes, let me kindly and respectfully give a big greeting to our Honorable Honorable Jipa Dobashi, and then our Chief Executive, Mrs. Mami Fuahojato, please.
Okay, so we want to ask you what is new, what is happening at this time around, especially with the paragliding activity.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so grateful for this conversation. The Ghana Tourism Authority are very privileged to be part of this conversation. Let me give a big greetings to your panel also. I was actually listening to them before I got engaged. This time around, Kwewu, obviously being a destination that the Ghana Tourism Authority is promoting out there, we are looking forward that Ghanaians and seeming public revelers would also troop in to be part of the entire celebration. You know, with the Ghana Tourism Authority, we have the Kwewu Easter Paragliding Festival, which takes place on the Algeria Mountain ATBU in Kwewu, in the eastern region. And this is a festival that, of course, brings together about 7 pilots. We have about 7 pilots. We call them tandem pilots and solo pilots. So each year during Kwewu Easter, they are here to fly revelers out there. For someone to fly, it is 1,150 Ghana cedis. And then also there is a lot of activities that will take place within the paragliding site and also the entire enclave of Kwewu. You know, Kwewu can boast of a number of tourist sites and attractions. If you look at some of the tourist sites, we have Orobon Waterfall, we have Bruku Rock, we have Air Days, we have the Padlock Rock, we have the Mystical Cave, and then a number of tourist sites like the paragliding site also being one of the sites. We are encouraging Ghanaians to also patronize these tourist sites and attractions. Of course, we are in touch with our private sector and the tour operators, the Hotels Association, the car rentals. All these value chain people are pushing Ghanaians to Kwewu and marketing Kwewu as a destination. If you look at our domestic marketing campaign, we call it the See Ghana, the Eat Ghana, the Wear Ghana, and then the Feel Ghana. We have, as a matter of fact, we kindled it with a lot of experiences for Kwewu. So this year, we are looking forward. Our gliding side, we're going to have a lot of games and activities that will take place there. Some of them will be Ludu, Owari, Dummy, and the others. Then also there will be exhibition of products. These products, of course, are ranges from clothes to shoes, local products, local shoes, everything has to do with Ghanaian, right?
Okay.
And then also at the site, we are going to have a number of traders, a number of the tourism value chain being there to also market their. One major thing is that His Excellency the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, is organizing also, the Office of the President is organizing what we call Kwewu Business Forum. Okay. We are not leaving investment wing of it out of it. Okay. We are looking forward to also make sure that Ghanaians also appreciate the fact that investment is very important when it comes to our tourism sector. So the business forum will take place at the Information Social Center, which of course will be one of the major blockbusters, which of course is going to help to push the industry and also other sectors of the economy. A number of financial institutions will be. We're going to have GTB, ADB, Stanbic Bank, Fidelity Bank. Almost all the banks will be there. We are looking forward for Ghanaians and the teaming public to be able to pass through, come in, and then appreciate what the conversation will be. Of course, a lot of investors will also
Mr.
be there.
Kofi, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear.
Okay, so my last question has to do with the fact that we know we have recorded a 0 accidents as far as the paragliding activity is concerned, but many Ghanaians would also want to know what safety or hospitality measures the authority has put in place to ensure that travelers have a moment of fun and their safety is also in line.
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Safety and security is very key to the Ghana Tourism Authorities and promotion of the paragliding festival. They should be rest assured. The pilots that are coming have been flying over the years. For the past number of years, they've been flying, and they are very experienced. One thing also is that usually what we do is that we have a number of our security agencies there. National Security is there, the Ghana Police Service. We also have the armed service. Okay. The ambulance service will be there. Okay. They'll be there at the paragliding site. And then also they will, within the various areas in Koko, for example, Oboming, Obo, Abetifi, Imprayaso, ATBA, all these areas would experience an influx of the ambulance service, one, an influx of also the Ghana Police Service, National Security, and the like. And we are also going to have, in terms of security, sanitation. Also, sanitation is also very key. All these would also be put into careful, have been put into careful consideration. So, revelers should be rest assured that security and safety is at its peak. We are making sure that they get the best out of this celebration.
Okay, so please, lastly, my co-host would also want to ask you one question and then we'll be done.
Yeah, yes, so, thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Kakra-Kusi, and the good job that you're doing. But one thing that we've actually realized is the accommodation concerns. Kwewu has been the heartbeat of celebrations when it comes to Easter in and around this particular period.
Need I say that your voice is very far. Your voice is far.
Okay, so he's talking about the accommodation issues. Have you made any preparations as to how to accommodate travelers coming, from their various homes?
Thank you very much. During Koko Easter, we have a lot of revelers that took into Koko and other areas within the enclave. So what is that we have had conversations with the Ghana Hotels Association just to make sure that their members keep accommodation clean as ever. So most of the accommodations are being carefully monitored by the Ghana Tourism Authority and then also the Ghana Hotels Association. The hotels need to be at that standard that would make revelers appreciate these places. And then also, during these times, most of the people do home stays, right? Stays are where a home is converted into as a hotel for guests to be able to sleep there. So these areas are also being checked. We are making sure that they also do not fall below standard, but within the standard that the Ghana Tourism Authority have put in place.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi Kakra-Kusi. Because of time, we would have to cut you. Thank you so for the job you are doing. We'll call you next time. And that was Mr. Kofi Kakra, the Deputy Director, Domestic Marketing at the Ghana Tourism Authority, on the line, giving us all the insights into this year's Kwewu Easter celebration happening at Kwewu. And very much thank you or gratitude going out to you all for staying with us on the lifestyle segment. I did this with Nanaya Wasari and also Edna Yeboah Boateng. Up next is the birthday segment. Stay with us.
I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday?
And
I heard today was your birthday.
And welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. Now let's do just one birthday celebration and then we'll be out of here. This is going out to Manuel Kojo. A happy birthday to you. May God richly bless you and enlarge your coast. Manuel Kojo, thank you so much for always tuning in to Clock TV to watch the Koko Digest Morning Show. My name is Miriam Abna Adede. Up next is the segments with our very own Nanaya Wasari and Benedict. Stay with us.
It's sports time on the Koko Digest Morning Show. My name is Nanaya Asari. As always, it's a pleasure to come to your homes, to come on your phones, to come on your screens to bring you in the world of sports. Let's take a look at the stories that are making up the headlines. And this one says that Sports Minister denies Black Stars budget cover-up. And also, we have the Champions League quarterfinal highlights for you. Now let's have the stories in detail. This one says that the sports minister has denied the Black Stars budget cover-up. The sports minister Kofi Adams is responding to claims that he's hiding the budget for Black Stars' recent World Cup qualifying games. He says he's not concealing anything, that it's too soon to release the budget details as it's still in a draft form. This follows the president's call for financial transparency regarding national teams. The Black Stars are currently leading their group in the World Cup qualifiers and are hopeful to qualify to the World Cup in Canada, USA, and Mexico. Now, in our next story, the Champions League quarterfinals are here. I'll be delving deeper with Benedict. I have the highlights for you. Barcelona booked their place in the Champions League semi-finals. Although they had to sweat for it, they had to struggle through it. They were defeated in Borussia by Borussia Dortmund by 3-1. And also Paris Saint-Germain also survived an inspired second-half performance from Aston Villa and Marcus Rashford. And they survived, although they beat Aston Villa by 5-4 on aggregate, but lost on the night by 3-2. And also, look away, Real Madrid fans, because Arsenal booked their semi-final spot by beating Real Madrid home and away, 3-0 at the Emirates and 2-1 at the Santiago Bernabeu in a covered stadium. We have the highlights for you, so sit back and enjoy.
Night set up for heroes. Or
nearly to seal a place in the top of the European elite. Benedict is here with me to break down what happened in the Champions League. We'll start off with the game that happened on Tuesday. Which one was your favorite? I know as well. Yeah, cladded in their
well, as a proud Blaugrana Barcelona fan, I think my favorite was the game against Dortmund. I mean, we lost, but it was one of the best games I ever saw Dortmund play throughout this campaign of the Champions League.
Dortmund have actually been quite impressive in this, considering the fact that they faced Real Madrid and they've beaten Real Madrid as well. So it was not going to be an easy fixture for you, considering the fact that also they were finalists of the previous competition as well. So Dortmund were seen to be underdogs, but then they posed a risk of always.
They surprised most of us because going into this game on Tuesday, Barcelona, we thought we had it. We were relaxing. The boys, you could see that the boys were not as encouraged. They weren't really into the game as they used to be, mostly because of fatigue. But I mean, they didn't really put in that much effort, and we were all surprised. One thing that kept on happening was the memories of last two seasons, against Roma, against Liverpool, the comebacks they did against Barcelona when we won the first league, and then they came back to score. So, I mean, as a Barcelona fan, it was one of the most tense moments in my life.
But that is to say, Barcelona had a goal recorded in their name on the score sheets, but they didn't score a goal themselves. It was an own goal scored by Karim Benzema. And let's turn our attentions to the other match that happened on Tuesday. That is Aston Villa hosting Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain were coming with a 1 advantage from Paris, and then they got to Birmingham, specifically to Aston Villa Stadium, and then
I mean, things turned around. Aston Villa this season, they've been very impressive for the fact that this whole season they haven't lost a game in their home stadium.
That is the Champions League.
In Champions League, that is so good. So because this is the Champions League, this is the top level of football. I mean, aside the World Cup, this is the top level of club football. And for you not to lose any game at home, it's very impressive. So I'll give it to them. Aston Villa, they've been so good, and I'm hoping the next season, the upcoming seasons, they'll perform better than they have been.
All right, so they'll perform better than they have been in the preseason. Now let's also switch to what happened no, I'm not coming to that. I'll make sure that we end the show with that particular one. To what happened at the San Siro. Inter Milan were leading by 2-1 at the Allianz Arena. They came back to the San Siro and needed to either draw or maybe win the game. And they did just that, 2 apiece. And Harry Kane, his hunt for European glory again has been shattered.
It's been shattered, unfortunately for Harry Kane. I don't know if it's a curse for him or we can't tell. Probably he's just not good or he doesn't have better luck on his side.
His numbers are very impressive. He's always in and among the top goal scorers in the league. He's always in and among.
No doubt about that, but you need to perform. You need to come out when you are needed, when the need be, when we want you to do something for the team. He scored a goal. He managed to put one in at the back of the net, but we wanted something from Harry Kane because the Bayern Munich we know, and the Harry Kane we know, these two combined, these two powerhouses, they can do wonders. Unfortunately, not against Barcelona. Definitely not against Milan. So, I mean, it's their hard luck, unfortunately for them.
All right, so then we turn our attentions to the creme de la creme, which I call. They covered the stadium. They covered the lid of the stadium. Little did they know that rice cooks better when the lid is on.
When there's enough heat.
Enough heat. And Declan Rice and Arsenal pulled a good one on them, beating them home and away. I want you to talk about that particular match.
It was quite fun last night. It was very fun, very entertaining. I really enjoyed last night's game because we were all hoping for a remontada. That is actually what has been going on in the dressing room of the Madridistas. I mean, they've been going about. We are bringing up that spirit of comebacks, and I mean they are known to be the team for coming back mostly during Champions League second leg. So we were all hoping to see a glimpse of that. Unfortunately, they didn't They didn't even have any plan. I mean, to me personally, come on, you having the likes of Mbappe, having the likes of Vinicius, having the likes of Rodrigo, Brahim Diaz came on, and it was Hendrick. I mean, Bobby. We call him Bobby. It was bad. This is one of the worst rounds of Real Madrid because the Real Madrid we know. I mean, we knew Arsenal had 3 goals ahead, but at least it got to their heads that something can happen. It is possible. Not that Arsenal is a lesser team, but it is possible. Madrid can. But to see Madrid put up this MLS,
Kelly.
Come on.
I mean, the less said, the better. So now,
that kid,
he's just 18 years
18 years.
But we just turn our attentions to what's actually the fixtures that are happening. That is the semi-final matchups. We have Barcelona versus Inter Milan.
Easy.
And then easy. That's what you're saying.
Cool.
That's an interesting one. And
easy.
Arsenal versus PSG. Who are you likely to see in the final of the Champions League?
I mean, for now, let me tell you, I didn't want to, break the ice, but I mean, Barcelona is already in the final, so you're just waiting for either Arsenal or Inter Milan to join us.
All right, so that is where you're hearing from a Chelsea fan. He's a Barca fan, I should say. He's saying that Barcelona are already in the finals. They're waiting for Arsenal or PSG. This is how we wrap up sports on Koko this morning show. My name is Nanaya Asare. As always, it's a pleasure to come to your homes, to come to you to bring you the best in the world of sports. I didn't do this alone. I did this with Benedict Nketiah Kwarteng.
Good morning, welcome to the Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. On to our story for today, beginning with Finance Minister Dr. Forson has explained that the recent increase in utility tariff are tied to Ghana's ongoing commitment under its agreement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, recently announced a 14.75% hike in electricity tariffs and a 4.02% increase in water charges, both set to take effect from May 3rd, 2025. My colleague Peter has more on this story.
Minister, these adjustments are a necessary step to secure the next $370 million disbursement from the IMF. Speaking at a press briefing in Accra, Dr. Forson noted that the tariff review is part of the broader program implementation and aligns with previously agreed benchmarks that had been delayed. He also dismissed rumors of a potential renegotiation of Ghana's IMF agreement, emphasizing that the government remains fully committed to the current terms of the program.
Still on IMF story, Ghana has fully reached a staff-level agreement with the International Monetary Fund, which has led to the release of $370 million United States dollars, fifth tranche from its $3 billion United States dollars bailout program. The deal, achieved after 2 weeks of rigorous discussions with IMF officials, marks a key advancement in the country's drive to stabilize the economy and implement critical reforms.
This is the first IMF negotiation undertaken by the current administration since it assumed office in January 2025, highlighting its commitment to fully executing the 3-year program. At a joint press conference with IMF representatives in Accra, Finance Minister Dr. Forson hailed the agreement as a major step forward and emphasized the government's determination to restore economic balance, manage public debt effectively, and safeguard vulnerable citizens.
Away from that, now to Easter demand or Easter travel demand. The Easter season is proving to be a lucrative period for Ghanaians travels and tour agencies. A demand for holiday getaways surges across the country. Industry players report a noticeable increase in bookings this year compared to last year, with both local and international destinations in high demand. On this very story, we'll be speaking with an industry player who is also a co-founder of People and Places Tour in the person of Nana Yabua, who has more to tell us on this story through the phone-in section. Good morning, welcome to Clock TV, Mr. Nana Yabua.
Morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And we would like to find out how the industry has been within this possible time since we are approaching Easter. How has the industry been?
I think I'll say previously, before we started People and Places, Easter wasn't really a peak season for us. I'll say the most peak season for us was December, which I think because of the year of return, a lot of people think to come into the country, spend time with family, and also explore other places. But in recent times, it's been a bit easy for us during Easter, including very prominent, and so more people do talk us. Also, in our way of make experiences for people according to what they like, and so we try to cater calls around the world. So I'll say in recent times, things can do
Okay, boss. Please, we would like to know, comparing last year bookings to this year, how has been comparing the two bookings, last year booking to this year?
I'll say last year booking, it was okay. It wasn't like up there, but this year we've seen a very spike in bookings and inquiries. People are coming into the country. We have the one thing for these people is they have special requirements, so we have to make sure we cater to that. But we've seen more bookings to the eastern region and the Caribbean. People who love to explore eco places with nature. So yeah, there's been a spike in our bookings this year, and I'll say so far we have about 20 people coming in with requests and also itineraries, and we are tailing itineraries for them as well.
Okay. So in the industry, would you say that Easter is the peak season in terms of revenue?
Yes, Easter is a peak season here in terms of I'll say that it usually used to be in December, but Easter is still coming up. Yeah, a lot of people are coming to the country up there, and I think thanks to the Ghana Authority, with what they are doing, yeah, Easter has become a permanent festival here in Ghana, and not just for Ghanaians as well, like people in the diaspora coming back, his family. Black Americans from the USA and other parts of the Western world are also coming in. And I understand that Easter is mostly in Ghana. It has a spiritual meaning to it, and also in terms of like Christianity. But it's not just that people want to go out, explore, and see. I think that's something so cool.
Okay. So is there any special package during this season?
Yes, we have something we call Easter in the Heart of Ghana, and basically in this package we have like experiences. And one thing is noticed that people are more attracted to the experiences they do on the ground rather than sightseeing. So we have local lessons included in our packages, interacting with the local and also taking of all the practice services. We have some packages tailored for this stuff.
Okay, so do you still have some of the packages available?
Come again?
Do you still have some of the packages available?
Or is it already booked? Yes, we do have some of the packages available on when you go to our Instagram and also on our website. We do have.
Okay, thank you so much. And lastly, before you go, looking at the bookings for this very year, which places are mostly people looking at? People are going, is it Kwewu that we normally know or other places?
Well, so Kwewu is practically, that's what an outfit. Also, for the diaspora market that we actually mostly communicate with, some also use Easter to come to Ghana because one thing is quite affordable in Easter to come to Ghana as compared to December, where like prices are all the way up. And also, it's very calm in this time. And mostly, if they're not doing the cruise, they will rather do Cape Castle to, learn more about their ancestors, the slave trade. Some will also go to the Volta region. Those are people who like eco-friendly places, nature, waterfalls. And I'll say one also, if you have a quad bike tour, that is in the eastern region in Koko. People like, adventure lovers, they like to go into that experiences.
Okay, thank you so much. Before you go, we'd like to know your details out there. If someone wants to reach people on places, how are we going to do that?
So if you want to reach people on places, we are on Instagram at PEOP and the places. And also when you, our email is PEOP&places@gmail.com, so they can reach out to us. So on the phone number, you can reach out as 204-2263-681. We are available on all social media, that is TikTok, Facebook, and TikTok, so they can just give us a shout and be able to customize the package they want to do here in Ghana.
Okay, thank you so much. Nana Yeboah, co-founder of People and Places Store and also an entrepreneur. Thank you so much for having us or having you on our business update segment of the Koko Morning Show. This is how we wrap up the Koko Digest. This is how we wrap up the business update segment. Actually, sorry, we have more for you, and it's the main discussion that is going to be with Yaira and her host, who are going to talk more into the Easter celebration in terms of Christianity. Do stay tuned. I am Clement Yabankwe.
And you're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Koko Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our main discussion. We're talking about Easter, a celebration of faith, and I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with a pastor, a man of God. He is in the person of Pastor Winfred Adoyobo. He is the associate pastor at the Tabernacle of David Assemblies of God in Osu, and he will be teaching us the essence of Easter, history, all of those things. And then, of course, we've already talked about the celebrations that people are doing in Ikwehu and things, but this one is for the Christian people, Holiko people. So, yes, let's get into it. Let's get acquainted with him quickly. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Naira.
Thank you so much for joining us. Right, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself? We know you're a pastor at the Tabernacle of David Assemblies of God. Is there more we need to know?
Okay, so my name, as I said, is Winfred, Pastor Winfred. I'm an associate pastor at the Tabernacle of David Assemblies of God, where I pastor with my senior pastor,
yes,
Prophet Akwesi Boateng.
Okay.
Yeah, so the church is located on the Oxford Street. For me, before I entered full time, I've been doing ministry for barely 8 years, but been doing full time for the past 5 years.
Okay.
I had a working life. I used to do engineering, so I worked for barely 3 years.
Okay.
Yes, of which the call came strong, and I abandoned everything and came to do the Lord's work, and I'm enjoying my life.
I'm glad to hear. Thank you again. It's an honor to have you here.
You're welcome.
My colleagues were teasing me that I haven't had a pastor on the main segment before, so today is a new day, a new dawn in our lives. So yes, let's talk about Easter. So we hear of Easter, the death of Christ, and Palm Sunday, Ash Wednesday, all of those things. Can you give us a brief overview of what Easter actually is?
Okay. So for the overview of Easter, I would want to just say it's a time where Christians, decide to just set aside to commemorate or acknowledge something that God did for the human race. Yes. And with the overview, I just want to start talking about the history, how it all started, if you don't mind.
Yes, that's
okay,
fine.
So somewhere around the 2nd century, right around the early church age, a group of bishops, met in Nicaea, in Rome then, and it was championed by, that meeting was championed by Emperor Constantine.
Yes.
Yeah, so the intention of that meeting at Nicaea in the 2nd century, during the church age, was to establish certain things and also resolve certain controversies. So among some of the resolutions that was made was this Easter celebration. And if you are very good with church history, you realize that the church then had 2 headquarters. One was in Jerusalem and one was in Rome. Okay, so the Rome headquarters was where this meeting held. So that was where the decision to celebrate Easter was enacted. Okay, and its sole aim was to also give Christians a reason for celebrating the resurrection, the death, and the burial of Christ. And also the Roman Empire then was purely pagan in their worship and everything. So the church then thought it wise that if they should give the believers in Rome, something to celebrate, which was part of their faith, it wouldn't be bad. So basically, that was it. So ever since that law was enacted, the church then has been celebrating Easter, and some celebrate it with different kinds of activities. Yes, but to sum it all, you have church service. Some will have picnics. Some will want to have prayer sessions. And all is geared toward what Christ did on the cross. The death, the burial, and the resurrection.
Yes, so I would like to ask, like you said, it was, mainly pagan. And there are schools of thought that actually propagates the theory that Easter and Christmas were placed on specific pagan holidays as a way to try to drive out the pagan worship and move all of them into Christianity. How true is that?
You are right. Partly right, partly not right. I want to say that if we look at a good study of the scriptures, you realize that God has always been interested, in human civilization. I don't want to take us back, but you realize that at every point where there was a new civilization that came in, God had an agenda for man. Okay, and we've had several civilizations. So from what you said, yes, it was pagan in origin, but the intention is what I always tell people should be the focus for the celebration. You and I know that most of the things that are surrounded with did not really come strictly, or its origin is not birthed from us. It has been impacted on the various civilizations that came. Okay, something like our English language that we speak, certain dressing, even look at how you dressed. Okay, so culture and civilizations that have existed has impacted on our lifestyle. Okay, so days of the month, for instance, Monday to Sunday, are purely originating from what? Pagan. And we can't say we are, because we want to go and live in a different world, and conjure our own names, okay. But what I want to say is that even though the pagan kind of lifestyle has some kind of effect on the date and the name, I want to encourage everyone that I think the essence of the celebration is that which matters. And I think the Bible, Paul knowing that some of these things will happen, God used him to silence or answer that. So when you read Galatians chapter 4 verse 10, Paul was bemoaning the state of believers in Galatia. He was saying, look, why are you so bothered about the dates, months, and all those things, which are not necessary? I believe the essence is what be mindful of. Okay, so that is what I want to say.
So there are certain Christian denominations that do not believe in celebrating Easter, mainly because maybe the Bible did not speak of celebrating Easter, and then also the inaccuracies that we are experiencing. I mean, the changes in even our calendars and things over centuries. So with that, what would you say to something like that?
Okay. With such sects in the Christian faith, what I want to encourage them is still the Galatians 4:10. I believe that our faith goes beyond the dates and months. And we all accept that civilization that existed has impacted on some of these things that we use as a modus operandi for our living, for our times, our months, years. And so to some of them, I just want to tell them that let the essence, let the celebration, or let this time in our year be more about the reason for the celebration. As you said, there are some sects in the Christendom that don't celebrate because of the pagan connection to the date. They are not wrong, okay? But I want to ask, Jesus not come? Did he not live? Okay, did he not die?
Yes, those are the very key questions.
And I believe that maybe in the course of our discourse, I'll bring who want to really find out if historically the man really lived. Is Easter just fictitious? Is it imaginary? Or it is a real thing that really happened? So if it's indeed real that it happened, then those people who are bothered about the dates and the months and it having pagan connection, that should not be the essence. It should be more about, did it really happen? If yes, flow with the celebration.
Well, there are also theories that, considering the pagan connections or influence, it pays homage to these pagan worshippers, hence celebrating Christmas on this specific day or Easter in this specific period is indirectly worshipping some satanic, demonic entity. So in a situation like that, is it also based on the essence or it's about mind?
I think the essence is key, then the mind also follows. Okay. I believe some of these sects in the Christendom who hold on to such a belief system, which you are bringing to bear, will attest to the fact that their development from childhood to maybe if they are adults, they didn't have a different world, but they lived in this world that we are in. They went to schools, and these schools, they had pagan teachers. They went to hospitals, and all the doctors were pagans, unbelievers. Yeah. Did they say, okay, because you're an unbeliever, I'll not allow you to attend to me, I'll not go to your school? Did they go through the same curriculum we went through? If yes. So I want to hammer again. I think it should be more about the essence of the celebration. Did Jesus really come? Did he really die? Did he resurrect? If yes, of what significance is it to us? Then based on that, that should be the reason and the motive for the celebration. Go beyond whether it's pagan originated, it has pagan connections and other things which they are holding on to for not celebrating with us.
Okay, so for some of our viewers, I'm sure we diverse set of viewers, some people are not Christians. Can you touch on the processes or the chain of events, the plot leading to the ascension? Can you touch on that?
Okay. Okay, so that will be brief, but I want to say that everything that has happened, and even is happening now, has already been foretold. In our modern days, we will call it prophesied. There's no one in our current dispensation who is not familiar with the word prophecy. But we're looking at something being foretold before time. So way back in Genesis 3:15, we see God, the creator, announcing this event that was to take place. He didn't give timelines, but he only said that a time will come where a particular seed of the woman, which is a human being, will crush the head of the serpent. So from that time, you could see that people were just watching out. Civilizations. I believe that the fathers would foretell or would tell their offspring. They will also tell others. Okay. But God began to give more explanation to this whole thing. Then the time came that that prophecy was to be fulfilled. So Jesus was birthed somewhere around 3 AD or 6 AD. The time is not really so sure. So he was born around that time. And around 30 AD, this prophecy about the seed of the woman crushing the head of the serpent had to be fulfilled. So we want to say that even the focus or the person Jesus, all the great things he did, we people attest to it, all the things he did does not really matter than the remaining last moment of his life, which we're celebrating today. So the Bible accounts that just around the time where he had a Passover with his disciples, which was a Jewish culture, yes, they went, Gethsemane, where he prayed. And all these things, I'm just chipping it in because it also connected to his dying. Because in Gethsemane, if you're good with your Bible story, you realize that there he shed tears. And the Bible says that the tears were like droplets of blood. Okay. So fast forward, right after that, there was a betrayal. Okay. And the betrayal led him. So this person, Jesus, interestingly, despite his innocence, he was charged 5 times. He was tried 5 times. The first account was where he was taken to Anna, then later to Caiaphas, then sent to Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate sent him to Herod and brought back to Pontius Pilate. So you can imagine, all was geared towards getting a charge against him to just nail an innocent man. Yes. And fast forward, during his crucifixion or during his trial, when he came to Pontius Pilate, during the time of Jesus, we all know that the Romans were the ones in control. And the Romans, per their civilization, how they dealt with criminals, they take them through certain, I don't know how to, but it's a gruesome, kind of torture. And the focus was that before the person dies, the person will suffer. And that was the same thing that Jesus went through. So over here, I want to say that the scourging, the beating, was prophesied in the scriptures.
Yeah.
The book of Psalms says it. The wearing of thorns also. Even to the point where his beard was pulled, also prophesied. So from there, he was moved from there to the cross where he was crucified. And during the crucifixion too, we see certain things being done. Because the idea behind this kind of torture was to bring the person to death. Even though he will suffer, he has to die, end up dying. And if you look at some of the things that are being displayed on the screen, we can see the extent of the torture. The whip that was used was a combination. It had a wooden handle, a leather strand, and in the strand there were metal bones and sheep bones. So you can just imagine this thing being used to just hit the man. And maybe later on I'll talk about he had to go through this.
We will come to that.
Yes.
So in the period of Easter, we usually have Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, all of this, and where Jesus was sitting on the donkey and was paraded. Can you talk about that briefly for us?
Those activities are also actually part of Easter. Because that is how come when I was earlier on, I had to go way back, Genesis. We can't just talk about the death without talking about the triumphant entry. Okay, so all these things are part. So some days too, he having the Passover, he went to Jerusalem, and the Bible recounts that the people began to hail him as King of the Jews. Okay, where they put him on a donkey and paraded him and were just hailing him. That was also prophetic. The Bible had foretold all this, but it's all connected to the season that we are in, which is Easter. Okay, where God sends a representative for the human race to come and stand in for man who had fallen, so that he will meet the legal requirement that every sinner will meet. So anybody who believes in him will have eternal life and not perish.
Yeah. John 3:16. So I would like us to make a slight comparison as to the celebrations of Easter in the days of old versus now. Can you touch on maybe the key differences that maybe you've noticed so far?
Okay. I won't say I'm that old, but I'm quite old. Yes, and per observation, I think from infancy, I've realized that there is a slight deterioration.
Deterioration?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. In the celebration of such events or times like this. I remember those days, maybe you say because I'm coming from that angle, but we saw the essence of the celebration being really announced and being felt. Okay, but the activities that age in, I was there about 30 years ago. And some of our elders who are watching us can testify to it. Yes, but I think currently, you see the essence, the reason for the celebration is gradually being watered down with other activities. And this brings me to the why. Still, I believe, just like the days of old, where you brought the issue of pagan celebration, still the pagan or the unbelieving kind of activities seems to, or looks as if it's overshadowing the essence of the celebration, even in our days. Okay. Yes, we are not saying don't do party, don't go out, don't celebrate, don't go to the pool, don't do all forms of things. But I believe that since the day or this special day has been set aside for someone who came to do something. All the things that you are doing, yes, they matter, but you cannot finish it without considering why the day was actually set aside.
Yeah.
So I think it has been watered down in a way.
Okay.
I believe that is why some of you are here to help us trumpet the reason for this season.
So there are, again, some sects or some denominations in the Christendom that believe in mourning Christ's death. Do you think, as opposed to or juxtaposed with the fact that he's here to save us or to save Christians from eternal damnation, should it not be a reason to celebrate that we have been brought, the gap between God and man has been bridged by him? Some people mourn and wear black. There are also some myths about chewing meat, you don't eat meat.
You don't eat meat.
How significant are these things, or are they even right? Do they matter?
This is an interesting question. I don't want to say it's either or neither right nor wrong. But I want to say that I think it's their way of commemorating the events, that led to the ascension or the resurrection. So what I want to say is that if whatever that is being done actually was part of the event that led to the resurrection and finally his ascension, Jesus' ascension, it's worth commemorating.
Okay.
But just as Paul said, and as I told you earlier, he said it shouldn't be about the dates, the months. Okay. I believe if we all embark on a journey to leave Accra to Koko for the paragliding, then maybe we start from Accra, then we stop at Lenador. Anybody who stops at Lenador has not gotten to the destination. So to those who want to mimic the mourning, put a coffin, do all those things, there's nothing wrong with that. But I believe that he didn't end it. The story did not end there. He ended up resurrecting. He ended up ascending to the right hand of the Father. He ended up accomplishing something for the human race that was not possible. And I believe that is what people should be interested in. Yes, so that is what I want to say.
So let's take a few comments, then we come to the images so that you can maybe the images and the whips and things will let people get their, their mind straight to commemorating the death of Christ. So we have here, this one says, this is from Drew Ansan. He says, my pastor. And Samuel Buffo says, great man of God. Then John Autry says, Papa to the whole Riase. Then we also have a comment here. There's no name. Okay, yes. He says, hello, please, good morning. My name is Nathaniel, and I am at Taifa. Jesus Christ told us in the Bible that at 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23 to 27, that the Jesus Christ, our Lord, the day of his betrayal, he gave us the bread which symbolizes his body and the wine symbolizes his blood, that we should do this in remembrance of him, not Easter or Christmas. If you can quickly speak to that.
So from a friend who is also, so maybe he is just saying that the Easter, shouldn't be the time to remember, right, or commemorate what Jesus did, but it should be during the Lord's Supper.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. What I want to say is that I believe that when we read 1 Corinthians 15, I think the verse 3, Paul drew our attention to certain truths that are the pinnacle of the gospel message that makes us children of God. And he says that Christ died according to the scriptures. He was buried according to the scriptures. And was raised according to the scriptures. So I believe that these three areas of the life of Christ, no matter how people choose to remember it, he should be allowed to do it. So if our brother is only saying that for him, he will want to stick to just remembering the death and burial of Christ during the time he's taking the Lord's Supper. I think that's fine with him. But I will not want us to water down this season. It is so important. It is that which has made you and I call God our Father. Proud to that, after the fall of man through Adam, Bible says, through one man's sin, all men died. All have sinned. But this man comes, represents the fallen man, pays the price for the wages of sin, so that you and I can come to the Father as righteous ones. So no matter how he chooses, maybe he wants the Lord's Supper to be his day of commemorating, but I believe that anyone can use the time of Easter to also remember this moment.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we have more comments here. Agnes Nimaku Boatin says she's watching. Great idea, says, God bless you, my brother. Prophet Winfred is a great man. Then one more comment is loading. Okay. So this one says, Papa Adoyobo, this is Johnson. I'm watching you live and I'm enjoying your teaching. Thank you so much for your comments. It's time for a quick break. When we come back, we will discuss the essence of everything Jesus went through to get to the cross and even on the cross. We'll be right back. Oh, they said a day is like 1,000 years to God, and 1,000 years like a day. So, I mean, in the spirit realm, as they say, you can access these bits of information. So, God did tell people that's how come they said the Holy Spirit is inspired, right, in the Bible.
Yes, and to us who are not really open up to the realm of God, anytime, assuming a man of God sees you, a prophet sees you, says, "Oh, Yaira, ABC will happen to you, maybe in the next hour," when it happens,
yes,
you'll be amazed.
Yeah. So we have the image of, I think, the township. If you can take us through.
So basically, what we are seeing being displayed on our screen, we can see the journey that Jesus took. Basically, it was a 4-kilometer journey.
Okay.
Yes. So
on foot, right?
On foot. Don't forget those times they didn't have the means of transportation, sophisticated means of transportation as we have. So it was basically on foot. So when he was taken to, first of all, from the Gethsemane place, he was taken to the high priest's house. The Jewish people had a political system and a religious system. So Caiaphas was the political leader for the Jewish community, and Anna was the high priest, religious leader.
Okay.
Then they took him to Pilate. Okay. So that slide you see there, you can see the trip that he took on foot from Pontius Pilate's praetorium, where he was judged and scourged, to the Golgotha, which was a 4-kilometer. And that journey, that time that he was taking that journey, the man was so exhausted.
Yes, I think he was even being beaten. On the...
And the other slide where we could see the whip that was used, that shows.
Yes. So let's have the next slide.
So let's have the other slide. So basically, the whip had a wooden handle, as is displayed on our screen, and the person to be beaten, is tied to a wooden pole.
Yeah.
So I remember those times when I was a child, my dad would be beating me. My hands are not tied, so when the whips are coming, I can use.
Yes.
But this one, the man is tied to the wooden pole, and the back is open, naked, and that whip is. And the interesting thing about this whip is that the leather part, the trunks, are made up of metals. So lead metals, balls, round lead metals, and cheap bones, very sharp.
So they hit you and pierce through your skin.
Yeah, so there will be serious lacerations, like cuts, deep cuts.
And then they also said he wanted water and was given vinegar.
This was not even. This is a point where he will ask for water. But the whipping part, the idea. So I believe maybe a part, someone will ask, why the cross? Why was he taken through that? Historically, that's how the Roman people deal with criminals. And Jesus was being treated as a criminal. He had to go through, that was the system. And the system that he was being taken through was the death on the cross, crucifixion. So they'll beat you, make sure you lose a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Then when you're done, they give you this horizontal wood, and you have to carry it. So the criminal is supposed to carry it.
Yeah.
At this point, his nails will not be pierced, but he'll be tied with a rope and moving. So this was from this point to the Golgotha, where he was crucified. That's a 4-kilometer journey. And at this time, he would have had a lot of blood. And we all know that per the history that the Gospels gave, the Bible gave, a time came he couldn't even carry it.
And then
a man helped.
Yes, a man. I think his name was it John or Joseph? Or Matthew or something.
Yes. So then from there, he's taken to the cross itself.
And then this is the image of the eye. So was it in his palm or in his wrist? Because it seems we tend to have some.
So someone may be asking, where is this document coming from? Okay, this a document that was written by a group of American scientists. Okay, so JAMA. So it's 1986 March, 21st March. What they did was that they did a research. So they looked at commentaries that the Bible had given, and it wasn't biased. They looked at commentaries that other religious sects had also given, and they realized that piercing in the palm wouldn't be possible. Looking at how Romans did their crucifixion. They rather want to pierce in the wrist because that's the only place where the body can be suspended. If you pierce,
would it cut through the fingers?
No, so it was the wrist.
Okay, so piercing through the palm was not possible.
It's not possible. So it's
the wrist.
The wrist. So that is just to.
So it probably hit an artery, right?
It will hit.
Wow.
The idea is to bring the person to a place where he's weak and he dies slowly.
Wow.
Okay. So
the next one is the feet.
The feet. Yes.
I think we need to be reminded of the depths of these things so that the essence of Easter will come up, because right now I'm quite emotional.
I think even the closest movie that has come to depict this is The Passion of Christ.
Yes.
Yes. Which even with that one there, the producer, Mel Gibson, said that he tried to mimic just as the account was, but he couldn't.
Wow.
Yes. And all these things, this material is scientifically proven. Anybody who is watching online or watching us on TV can just Google JAMA Journal, J-A-M-A, Journal, about the physical death of Jesus Christ. What they sought to do was to let us know it wasn't just a fiction. There was a scientific background to everything that was happening.
Oh.
Yes.
So the next slide is the cross, right?
The cross.
Yes. So if we can quickly talk about the significance of the cross and then the two thieves beside him. Yes.
Yes. So with this side, you could see how the criminal is put on the cross. So having the tools, hit through the wrist on top, then the feet. So definitely the criminal will definitely struggle breathing.
And already he has all over his back. Oh dear.
Yeah, so during this time, that was the point that the Bible gives an account that Jesus gave up the ghost. Yes. So you asked about the cross and the two thieves. Basically, as I said, it's also scriptural.
Okay.
The Bible, I think in one of the accounts in the Old Testament, says that he was crucified among criminals. David was prophesying that. Yes, and that was to depict it, one. And two, secondly, why he was crucified with criminals was to show how the Roman, or justify the Roman kind of dealing with criminals.
So what about the spear? You know, they said he was pierced in the side and water and blood gushed out.
How the Romans do their crucifixion or deal with criminals like this, the intention is not to only take you through this torture, but to bring you to a place of death. Okay, so
is it possible to even die before you reach the
cross?
Yes,
depending on the kind of torture you've gone through, the amount of blood you've lost. And Jesus went through a lot. Even in Gethsemane, there was this kind of mental anguish because he was troubled. No wonder the Bible gives an account that his blood was like droplets of his sweat was like droplets of blood.
Yes, I remember listening to a preaching where the preacher mentioned that sometimes you can be stressed or aggrieved to that point where your sweat glands can actually burst and bleed.
Yes, and this journal gives a scientific background theory to that happening.
Wow.
Where there's that hemorrhage or oozes into your sweat glands.
Wow.
So
this is our Lord carrying the weight of all the sins, past, present, and future sins. And this is why we are celebrating Easter. And yes, he was given a crown of thorns as well. If you can touch on that too.
You didn't let me touch on the piercing.
Yes, okay. So after the piercing, go to the
crown of thorns. So the piercing became necessary because this state where they take the criminal, they have to ensure that the person is totally dead. Okay, so how they do that is either they break the bones when they notice that the person is alive. They break the bones so that the person now struggles to breathe and finally suffocates to death. Don't forget, he's just being suspended on that pole, and he will be using the back as a support.
And the back that already has the...
So when the bones are broken, definitely he can't support himself again. Yes, so definitely he will die. But with Jesus, because it had been prophesied that his bones will not be broken, I think in Psalm 34, They used another means, that was using the spear to go through the right side so that it punctures the lungs. Then if possible, it can just make sure that he goes finally. And when they did that, there was a mixture of water. And even this manual, this PDF or the document gives us the scientific reason to some of the reasons why it could be a mixture of water and blood. One of the things they said was that there's a possibility that because of the stress, the emotional stress, mental stress, or the anguish he was going through, his heart ruptured. So we can say Jesus had a broken heart.
Oh.
Don't forget, his disciples had deserted him. People he had fellowship with. People who had told him. You remember Peter was like, oh Lord, I'll not leave you.
Denied him 3 times. Wow.
Then about the crown of thorns.
But before we go to the crown, is there a significance to the water and the blood that gushed out?
Personally, I've heard some preachers, making some theories to that. Yes, but personally, I just want to stick to the scientific.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So we have a man God here who is sticking to scientific facts.
Yes.
That's true, but thank you so much. So yes, let's go to the cross. The crown of thorns.
So with the crown of thorns too was so their way of further taking the person through torture. Okay, and making him lose blood. Okay. But with Jesus, because of the charge, so at the other slide where we saw the person carrying the horizontal beam, the platinum, that's how it's called. Yes. What the soldiers that now they carry the sentence that is accrued to that criminal. So with Jesus, his sentence or his charge was that he had called himself King of the Jews. So the soldiers said, okay, if you are king, we'll give you the treatment of a king.
So that was it some sort of mockery?
Mockery. So just imagine someone. And these people, I believe at a point in time during the life of Jesus, they were saying, oh, wow, he's a good man. Or maybe he even healed them. The same people betraying you, laughing at you, and the crown of thorns was pushed into his skull.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
Then at the point, his beard was actually pulled out. Then at a point, they said, okay, he's king. They gave him a scarlet robe, put it around him because they know that the Roman emperors, they have scarlet. That was royal. At a point, they said, okay, if you are king, they took the thing off him, and you can imagine with all those sores, maybe that force with which the robe was put, it caused more.
Oh, goodness. Well, I think we constantly need these reminders so that it will bring us back into a solemn mood to remember why we are here.
Yes. As I said, I think it's because some of these things gradually are being watered down. So we tend to ignore the essence and do the other things, which are very important because I need to make time for family. We need to have that kind of social thing because God knows we need that. But this is supposed to be the principal thing, the cardinal thing for everything we do during this season.
Wow. Okay. Let's go to the resurrection then soon. We go, the burial first before resurrection. Christ was buried in a tomb. We heard that this tomb belonged to somebody. So it means that it means that he wasn't even going to have a burial place or anything. He would have just been left there.
So still historically, if you notice, I'm doing this mainly because of our audience. I believe not all are believers, not all are Christians. So if you notice, the line of my discourse is mainly on the historical and the scientific. Then I chip in some scriptures to just support it. Okay. But how they did their crucifixion, they leave the person there on the cross to die. Then maybe with time you die, bears will just come and eat you up. Then you dry. Then later they just pick you and throw you somewhere.
Wow.
But because of still that prophetic God's intention. And when I was preparing, one of the things the Holy Spirit was telling me was that let my people know that I am involved in everything that happens around them physically. God is not so distant from us. So if you notice, he managed to use this kind of Roman civilization to enact his purpose, to bring to pass salvation. So much so that his body, prophetically, the book of Psalms also said it, that you will not allow my body to see corruption. So God touched a man. So maybe you are here listening to me, you're watching me doing anything, and you think that God has no plan for you. He has a plan for you. Even with the dead body of Jesus, he touched someone's heart. And per history, that man was wealthy. Because those times, if you have a sepulchre to yourself, you are wealthy. He requested that he keep Jesus' body there. And so that was the burial. 3 days, and after that, we know what happened. He resurrected.
So, we always use the Father, why have you forsaken me? So even while Jesus was on the cross, feeling like he was abandoned, God had still made provision for his body, right?
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. So sometimes there are talks about his clothes being folded, an angel being at the entrance of the tomb and everything. And then I think Mary and the sister who went there to check on him, and then they were told he'd risen. Is there any other significance to that?
I will not also want to make more on that. Yeah, I know preachers of the gospel will want to sometimes let us understand the symbolic, meaning of some of these happenings. But I just want to stick to the cultural setting. Per the Jewish culture, anybody who is dead, they give some days to go and spice the body so that the body does not really decay. So that was their intention, that definitely right after Passover, they will go and do that. And just as God had said, they went there and the man was not there. The reason for the varying kind of accounts, if you read the book of Matthew, Luke, John, the account of the resurrection, different kinds of account, it's all because of how each author decided to present the resurrection. But the end result is that the man went, or the people went, and he wasn't there. He had resurrected.
So let's touch on the fact that he went into hell and took the keys of hell and all of that. Yes. And then I think something about the veil being torn, so now we can come to the Father. If you can touch on that first.
Okay. So I think with what you brought up, that is actually the sum or the crust of this whole story. Something had to be done. And the only way that he could do it was to die as a sinner. And where all sinners go is to go to hell. Because he had taken upon the whole sin of the world. He said it, past, present, future. So the end result was that he had to go to hell. And the person who had the keys of death, that spiritual death, that was the devil. Because he took it, from Adam. So Jesus had to go there. First of all, meet the legal requirement of a sinner. So he paid the price for all human race. But the devil had actually stolen something from human race. So Jesus had to go and take it back from the devil. That is how come he had to go to. And also, there were also other people before his coming who had expressed faith in him, like Abraham, like David, the patriarchs, who had believed in him. And he had to go and also liberate them, free them from the pangs of death. So that is the mystery for Jesus going to hell. All these things had to take place. If it hadn't, you and I cannot even get close to God. And that is where
would have been sacrificing chicken.
Exactly. That's where the veil had to tear, because per the religious system of the Jewish nation, that veil was only for the high priest.
Yes.
But now, Romans 8 to say that, no, Romans 5, it says, being justified by faith, we have peace with God. Now we've obtained access. So you and I and anybody who has received this sacrificial work of Jesus Christ, personalized it, and confessed him as the savior of his life, now has access to the Father, uninterrupted access, unbridled access. He can talk to God, go to God at any time, not remembering his past faults because it has been paid for.
Wow. So, this is the essence of Easter, and we have a few comments here. This one says, Fear not, Nati says, very deep teachings. Manuel de Amor Bearer says, God bless you, sir. Keep the fire burning. Nana Sketches Owusu says, powerful. Then, powerful expository. And then Kwabna Sapon says, God bless you, Osofo. Then we have Deborah Ivy Asare. Kalari the priest is watching, and Samuel Buafo says, man of God, you are too much. Thank you so much for your comments. Please keep them coming. So word has come to me that the phone line is open, so please do well to call and ask your questions very briefly. We don't have much time, and our pastor will do well to answer your pressing questions. So now, the ascension. So here, certain agnostic schools of thought are propounding a theory that Christ did not ascend. He rather went to live his life with Mary Magdalene and procreated. So, because apparently not a lot of people saw him ascend and a whole lot of things. Then, so my question is double, so section B, right? Okay. So then there's also another aspect of the fact that here, even in our African culture, when someone dies, it is said that the person's spirit stays around for a number of days before they depart. So it's likened to Christ hanging around, I think, for about 40 days.
40 days. Where
there was the whole Pentecost and all of that upper room thing. So if you can touch on that for us briefly.
Okay.
So the first one, Christ's ascension.
Okay. So the ascension per the acts that have been given, okay, both historically and biblically, we realize that right after the resurrection, okay, the account is given that just when the third day came, by the power of the Spirit of God, okay, he didn't by himself resurrect.
Yes.
It was, and when, just like what you're saying, people are having a whole lot of brouhaha about the resurrection, the possibility, is it possible? Then I only want to ask them, is it the same God who created everything?
Yes.
These things that sometimes we look at nature, we are like, wow, we are wowed. So if he did that, can't he do this? Prior to that, this same God, through Jesus, had brought up Lazarus from the dead.
Yes.
So the resurrection is possible. And that is even one of the hope of believers that will come, that the dead will resurrect.
But some people also say his body was found in the tomb. So it means that it is this same body that he resurrected into heaven. But we are told we will not go with this body into heaven.
Yes. So the Bible gives an account that when he was resurrected with a glorified body. And if you look at series of events that took place after his resurrection, his ability to appear here, go through walls, because at the point the disciples were scared. They have caught our master. We are next on the line. Now they are there. Mary comes to tell them, oh, we can't see our master. Then all of a sudden he appears to them in the room. And the room was tightly closed. And you and I, with this flesh and blood, we
can't pass through.
So definitely we can say to it that the body which he resurrected with was not the same body. Okay, that buried.
So where is it? Where was that body? Or it was transformed into something else?
You see, that is why believers believe. And it has been re-echoed throughout the New Testament that one of the hope of our faith will be raptured. During the rapture,
our bodies will be
translated, will be transfigured. So that was what happened.
Yes.
That was what
Some
happened.
people also liken it to Enoch and even Elijah's disappearance, that just as we've heard that it has happened before in the days of old, it can happen with Christ. So why is there an objection?
With Elijah and Enoch's experience, we can relate it with Christ. Okay.
For the fact that they disappeared. Yes.
Okay, so they disappeared. But with this one, with Jesus's experience or account, he didn't disappear. He came back with a glorified body. If you're talking about the ascension, the Bible says that he's going to come back again the same way that he was seen by others. Okay? So maybe the kind of similarity is that they were all caught up. But with Jesus, currently, he has a glorified body. He's not like as he was buried or as he died.
Okay.
And about the 40
the 40 days.
Yes. Basically, the Bible states the reason why he had to spend those days. The Bible says that he spent time explaining to his disciples what will happen afterwards. And if you remember, if you're a good student of the scriptures, that's why he told them that they should wait in Jerusalem until they endure with power because of the assignment that was going to be given to them. He also used that to appear to many, to let them know that he's alive, he's not dead. If we are to juxtapose it with the traditional belief of ghosts or dead people walking around, what I want to say is that to them, anybody who believes in that theory, when a ghost is around, what does he or she do? Is he also going to give
unfinished business? There could be a small parallel in the sense that, like you said, Christ was, teaching and explaining things to people. So that was his unfinished business before he would leave. So maybe our African ghosts too. Maybe you need to tell the gold this so that
the way the gold is. It's true. It's true. But what I always want to say is that let God be true and every man a liar. The Bible states clearly that after death, judgment. After death, judgment. Okay? So because of that, we don't have to even give room for... Personally, I believe, that's me, I believe that such appearances, one, they are familiar spirits that pick the faces of people.
That's a whole different
because topic. At the end, I know some who appear to people and begin to warn them, threaten them. Okay, there are occasions where they give good news and stuff. But I believe that let scripture or the Bible speak for itself. Currently, the only mouthpiece that God is using is he's using the pattern that he gave us in Jesus to speak to us. After death, judgment. If you are seeing your ancestors, I believe it's familiar spirit. Yes.
Okay, so we have comments coming in. This one says, thank you, Pastor, for admitting and educating viewers that Christmas and Easter is actually from pagan origin, but has been polished for some other reason. That's the truth everyone must know, and this is from Ophelia. Thank you so much for your comment. And yes, I think we have a few more comments here.
With Ophelia, you just add to it that after acknowledging, yes, we encourage that the celebration should be more about reason. So even if it has pagan, it's still worth celebrating.
Yes, so this one is from Norbert Achimbisa. I'm sorry if I butchered name. Go deeper, sir. Then Joyce also says, why was the cloth left in the tomb after resurrection? And yes, why was the cloth left?
Okay, so the cloth was a linen cloth.
Okay.
Yes, and basically per the Jewish culture, they did what we call embalmment. Okay, so anybody that is dead, if you remember John 11, when God called Lazarus, come forth, he said, remove the clothes. So it was a linen cloth that they used to just wrap around the dead body, and that is what they do to just preserve the body. Okay. So that linen cloth definitely, after dying, after resurrecting, will no use.
And it's also probably to be evidence that he was there and he's no longer there. Okay. It's been a very interesting conversation, and I must say I've learned a lot. I've minded of a lot, and thank you so much. But before we wrap up, is there anything you would want to tell fellow Christians, families, non-Christians, aspiring Christians, anybody that's interested in this season of Easter?
Okay, thank you so much. What I want to say is, per discussion, per discourse, okay. What I want to say is that to all our viewers, to all our audience, both online, watching by the screen, we want to just tell you that God loves you. This celebration of Easter is a time where God was sounding one message, that I don't want anyone to perish, but I want all men to be saved. So no matter who you are, maybe you're an unbeliever, you've not believed in this whole story of Jesus, you've not personalized it. Yes, he indeed came for all, but he came for you. To your life, you owe God, and the debt you owed, he has already made payment for in Jesus Christ. Yours is just to believe and accept him and become saved, so that the reason for this season, you can really enjoy it and not only do the other things. Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much. This idea, probably, if you want to hear more enriching and insightful Word of God expositions, you can join our pastor at the Tabernacle of David, Assemblies of God in Osu. And yes.
And one other thing, you know, I can't also come here without giving some.
To do altar call.
No. Oh, for the altar call, I think in our discussion it has already been done because the invitation has been thrown. That the essence for the season is all about Jesus, his death, burial, and resurrection. Believe in him and be saved. But I just want to extend some warm greetings to my senior pastor, who is a father to me, Prophet Akwesi Boateng. Currently is ministering outside the country in UK. Yeah, so we just want to just say we love him. Yes, and to the Todd family and anybody, all the friends and family, those who have participated in this discussion, we just want to say we love you. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you don't have any church, just
you
pass
can
through
join
and
them.
visit.
Yes.
God bless you.
Join the Assemblies of God family. Yes, so there are branches in Osu, Tabernacle of David. You can join them there, you know, fellowship, meet our pastor here and learn more about Christ. And yes, Clogsag is also having our pre-Easter celebration at 12:30 today. So this is an open invitation, to everybody in the ministerial enclave and beyond. You can come and join us and have fellowship with us as we are about to celebrate Easter and commemorate everything that Christ has done for us. This brings us to the end of the Koko Digest Morning Show. I hope you were very, very enlightened. You were reminded of the reason for this. So as you're celebrating, remember that Christ came to die for you, and it's for you to also remember that, and you know, all those things that they say in church, yes, keep it in mind. Thank you so much. And we will be also live streaming. So if you can't join us physically, you can join us on Clog TV or on Facebook, YouTube. It's all Clog TV. Just join in the stream, listen to the Word of God, fellowship with us. The praise and worship will be hot as usual. So, yes. Now, thank you so much. A big thank you to everybody that joined us. A big thank you to everybody that made hands. You a solemn Easter. Reflect on your sins, repent, and of course, celebrate family. Do have an amazing weekend ahead.
Clog TV, beyond the policy.